Hello.
How you doing? Maybe today is the day that we have good audio.
Can you guys hear us all right while I move my fucking mic pack around?
Great job. Now you're dropping F-bombs in the first 2 seconds. Now I'm going to lose all my monetization.
If your kids are watching two like slightly middle-aged men, well, one more middle-aged than the other.
Yeah, turn it off now because we're going to get real deep.
Real deep. What do you want to talk about first, Mark? While I pull this up on my phone so I can see what questions they're asking.
I want to talk about hello. How is everybody doing? We are going to be handling a lot of business today.
A lot of business.
I hope that everything is going well for everybody. And I want to just get some feedback in terms of testing here, just to make sure that our audio is solid.
Can people hear us well? Better than normal. We actually had time to test this before all of this nonsense.
Good. Okay.
All right. Good. All right.
Let's get that out of the way. So we have about 37 seconds before we go live. And I just wanted to express my deepest sympathies for everybody that's going to watch this for the next 2.5 hours. Actually, it's 4 hours now. I told Jack he's going to be here till 3 a.m. Central Daylight Time.
Perfect.
And I have a weighted blanket over there that's 17 pounds. Oh, yo, seriously, before we get started.
You want to hand it? You hand it to me.
Here, I'm gonna have Jack's reaction video here. No, I'm gonna. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna set it down, and then I want you to pick it up.
Just drop it like a fucking weight. Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Now put that thing on you.
This is amazing.
I think it is 17 pounds.
Oh my god, what the?
Yeah. So there's your product placement. So if you want a weighted blanket, don't get one.
Why did you get one of those 17 pounds?
Look, I'm lonely. 17 pounds is, well, I don't know of anybody that would be 17 pounds, but it feels like somebody's putting 17 pounds of pressure on my upper torso.
Okay, so as promised, we are going to quickly get through a couple of our
Patreon
questions before we start everything else. So bear with me.
And this is our sponsor today, Rescue Remedy Stress Relief nasal spray. It contains 27% alcohol, so when I shoot it right into my butt, it's instant relief.
Okay, so those Patreons who have tuned in, I have tried to answer a couple of your questions, and what I don't get through, I promise we will come up with our own video and sent this just on Patreon to answer all your questions. But I'll try to go through as many of these as possible. TM asked, do you think the GR Corolla is going to be as groundbreaking as we hear every other journalist saying? This smells like the RS from a couple years ago.
I don't know. I never drove the Yaris Corolla or Yaris. Sorry, the GR Yaris.
Good job.
I know some people have, and it's probably very similar on a brand new. It'll be on TNGA, all stiffened up and extra,
longer wheelbase and more weight,
more glue and more weld points and all those things. I'm sure it's exactly what every enthusiast asks for. So that means nobody will buy it.
And the dealers are going to bone you.
The dealers are going to charge, like, we just got done doing the EV6, and I was so salty editing that. I got to tell you, I was just like, I was so angry editing that video. And then I put the titles together today, and I looked up the Auto Tempest link to see how much dealers are charging for it. It's like $65,000. And it's like...
Oh, so our LX video is coming out this Friday, and I forgot to send this one to you, or maybe I did. I had a viewer reach out, and he said that the dealers in California, one of the dealers wants $75,000 ADM on an LX 600.
Why?
I don't.
Because you think somebody's actually going to pay it? Or they just? Is it like a let's just do it and see if somebody's dumb enough to buy it?
It has to be that one.
Yeah,
because even at sticker, I mean, not to ruin the video that's about to come out, at sticker, you are making some compromises So to pay the sticker on top of that is
Yeah,
anyway.
that's nutty. Anyway, yeah. So the Corolla, I'm sure it's going to be amazing. You're not going to be able to get one. It's going to be really hard to get one, and it's going to be really hard to get one at MSRP because I think they're doing a limited batch for the first year, isn't it? Like 6,000 units or something.
Yeah. So as disclosure to the people watching this, I have already reached out to Toyota and expressed interest in buying one. Again, kind of like the GR Corolla series. We are redoing our second video as Mark wants us to be like 80 minutes long. So our update video is coming. We're going to probably do 4 or 5 videos on the GR.
If you guys want to put
86.
your feedback in here, because Jack is just like, well, I got this 86. I just want to do quick updates on it. And to me, I look back at the previous series and I'm like, let's do it more comprehensively. Like, okay,
I'm in agreement with you. It's just going to be an 80-minute
well,
video.
I mean, I think there's more value to people watching if you're going through all these details of like, this is what we did, this is the result, and you make it more comprehensive than just stringing people along for like 10 videos that don't really say anything.
So this next video is going to be all the bullshit for the last 3,000 miles, what it's actually like to track, how to get it set up for track use, what's it like in the winter, what else are we covering? Winter driving,
the stock lap times with brake pads and fluid, lap times with crash bolts, alignment, brake pads,
wheels
and tires.
Yep.
And then from there it'll go on to suspension,
which we have Öhlins, Essex brakes, wheels from Apex. We're going to start with RS4s. Bridgestone has promised us the first batch of new RE71Rs. So both the S2000 and this thing will be on the identical damper, obviously, different for different cars. The same brake package from Essex AP
with
brakes.
the same pads and everything.
Yep, and the same tires.
Yeah.
So,
and I can already tell you, I'm going to spoil it. We did the first test, and I'm going to tell you something, Jack. I looked at the lap time from when I did the S2000 last year with Britt, and I looked at where we were at this time. I never got out of fourth gear in the S2000, and I got out of fourth gear on that day we did it in the cold because we had like a 40-mile-an-hour tailwind. I was actually in fifth gear for probably 3 seconds, so that's why I hit 120 miles an hour. The time before, I only hit 110.
Well,
so there was a 10-mile-an-hour
should
delta.
we film this in a tornado?
I'm just saying, like, that's how different the days are in terms of heat, temperature, and weather can make that big of a difference. The 2-second difference. But anyway, the 86 is only 2 seconds behind the S2000 that's modified, and the 86 is almost bone stock aside from brake pads. So that thing is going to annihilate that car.
And to pull out some of the driver variation, Britt Casey, who's the lead instructor at Autobahn Country Club, who we are partnered with, is a IMSA driver who's raced in TCR and GT4. So he's a real race car driver, not some guy who's like, I'm good at track days. Real race car driver, raced wheel to wheel.
Yeah.
So you'll have his lap time
and his feedback. And that's one thing I wanted to put him in the video because it's just, I'm tired of this faceless like race car driver shtick that's been going on forever. Like the guy knows more
than us.
No, I mean he literally does because he has experience with race teams and all that. So that value or that information is important.
So anyway, back to the Patreon questions. So yes, we are attempting to buy a GR Corolla for the channel, and then on top of that, we are attempting to do a bigger video on the GR Corolla than just a launch video. You're going to see 1 million of those. We're trying to do a real video where we have the engineering team on, get it on the track, get on the street, lift it up in the air, all that other nonsense. So next question is, I would like to see some direct car comparisons between competing vehicles. Well, we're planning one to shoot in like 2 weeks. It's Elantra N, GTI, WRX, and Civic Si. Again, going to Autobahn, going to put all the cars on the lift. If you watched our first S2000, GT86, whatever the other car was in that Miata video, it'll be very similar to that.
Cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be real cool.
Same cars over and over again, just because there's no other cars that exist that are affordable.
How's the Patagonia sponsorship going? It's not going well, Mark. You're not wearing Patagonia either.
I made sure I bought some new Patagonia that's blind, so there's no branding on it, but I am wearing Patagonia.
Thoughts on the upcoming Z?
We already did a video on it. In fact, I'm gonna give you guys something. There's no driving impressions in that clip that we can release that clip I did before, right?
Yeah. There's, as long as it's 0 driving impressions and they don't.
I'm going to give you a link in the chat so you can watch some of the footage that we got. And this is the first time I've released anything on it because we're so close to actually being done with it.
So Mark is currently editing it now. It's It'll be similar to like the GT3 video we shot, where we have real people who worked on the car on camera. Um, you know, it's everything that you could possibly expect from us, and it's the one of the better things we've done.
This is a video that we spent way too much time on, and this is the Z video that was supposed to release early.
Yeah, we were supposed to get an exclusive. It didn't happen, but they gave us every available resource the US team could possibly give us to shoot this. It's
Yeah, so check out that clip, and you'll see some of the footage that we shot. And obviously, it's not, that there's nothing. That's just basically test footage, but you'll get a good feeling for what the motif of is. And
I got to drift it.
yeah, Jack got to really drive that car hard, a lot harder than I did. I was so focused on the shooting for the day, but again, it was just the three of us, me and
Yes.
you, and then obviously Chin, who's the moderator for this. He was out there helping as well, but huge amount of resources spent. And that's another question that's going to go in this live stream is like, 2 years left in my mind of doing this because the stress is now destroying me.
Yeah, pretty
and
much.
then the money part is like killing me. So I really want to do the best job we can on some of this stuff, but that doesn't mean I'm super excited about it like I used to be.
Yeah, we have another exciting project for all of the people in this. We are doing similar to the Integra Type R video we did. We're doing like an NSX retrospective. This is something I've been kicking around for a long time, and as Honda has agreed. And we have one of the foremost Honda NSX experts in the United States also assisting us in this video, and he is quite ill. So it's really nice of him to be a part of this. And
Yeah,
hopefully you
there's
going to
be more to it, I think, and I don't want to really get too much into it because I don't want to overpromise. But
It's Gen 1 NSX and the new one.
yeah, and point two, whatever the
Yeah.
updated NSX. But yeah, there's more people that I want to have involved in it. But anyway, I'll have that on honestly, I'll have that video on Patreon before it comes out, like months before. So if you guys, obviously, it's not, there's nothing on there right now about it, but there will be that video completed there well ahead of time.
All right. So top 5 things you like and dislike about the GR86.
That's all you, dude.
I've already answered this for the Patreon, but I dislike the way it sounds like a garbage disposal with or without the fake engine noise, which is a fair statement.
The fake engine noise is only relevant when you're on track with a helmet on, and that's something I learned pretty quick. You cannot hear anything with the fake engine noise off.
Yes.
Driving it on track, and you're like, if there's a car around you, or even if there's not, you're like, you're on the rev limiter, and it's a soft rev limiter, so you don't even know that you're there. The car is just like, meh. So that would be the only time if you could like code it back on for the track. Other than that, I'm
Or
happy
you have to put some horrible sounding on exhaust.
or intake or
Yeah.
something. It needs some type of intake. But
the ride quality in the winter, when it's really cold out, the stock damper is really cold as Midwestern weather, below freezing. It rides like
garbage.
Yes.
Yeah, the oil does not flow in the shocks.
It doesn't get that great a fuel economy, to be honest. For a little 4-cylinder, you're getting high 20s, where like a Miata gets almost 40 or something.
Yeah, Miata's pretty high. It's in the 30s.
And then the sound system's horrible. The infotainment's garbage. What you like is it goes sideways all day long in the wintertime. It's cheap-ish at $31,000 or whatever it costs. It's balanced. It's pretty balanced for a stock car. The gearbox is good, and the basic driver inputs are pretty decent.
I think you're underselling it. It's a great car. My only problem with it is the front end, like every struck car, and it's the same problem as the last car had. It doesn't have enough camber in the front, so the front end, like really, when you drive it hard, it wants to understeer first, which is really kind of kills the fun of it. But again, you have to tune that out with the aftermarket.
So Mike Haynes asked, why did you buy a BMW X7? So Mark got rid of his XC90 for Volvo problem reasons.
Yeah, so if anybody's been following the Volvo story, it's just, I like that car a lot. I like the interior. It's one of the best interiors, and anybody that does interior design or material design, they'll tell you it's just an amazing put together design overall. The outside, at least on the R design I had, is one of the better looking SUVs. It's not trying to look cool. It just looks more timeless, boxy. The interior cargo capacity was amazing, but the drivetrain was absolute trash, and I had a bunch of problems that was in the dealership for. But the last straw was when we were on our Nissan trip. We went to Nissan headquarters to do the Z stuff, and then we went to Porsche headquarters to shoot GT4 RS stuff, and we're driving around with a towel on the dashboard because the roof is leaking. So Jack's like, cool. Maybe you should just get an X7 and be done. And I'm like, I'm not a big BMW person. And on the way back, he planted the seed, and I started looking at X7s to see how much they were, because I knew that I would get a lot on my trade. So I got back, and I seriously started doing research on X7. And then when I drove it, I was like, It's got a classic interior. It's got knobs, buttons, and switches. You have physical controls for everything. It's got an amazing drivetrain, one of the best. And granted, the V8, you know,
And it gets the same fuel economy. As
yeah, the V8 gets the same fuel economy I was getting on the Volvo with a 2-liter. That was one of the killers for me too. And then when I brought the Volvo to the dealership, and I'm like, I got a leaky roof. They're like, well, you know, the parts are back ordered over 3 months. We're not sure that it's even going to fix it. And this has been a problem more in the European models. Like, we can replace the cartridge and we also have to replace the entire roof. But if there's water damage, you have to file an insurance claim with my insurance, even though the thing was under warranty. At that point, I was like, I didn't care. Out of principle, I'm like, I'm done with this thing. Like, I use it as a work tool, and I use it for a lot more than that. And I just, even if I have BMW problems, at least I'm going to enjoy driving it. And I know they're going to take care of it. Well, maybe,
hopefully.
So now I'm rolling the dice with this X7, and it's a really good SUV.
And you're going to start working with Motorworks, the dealer that bought a 991.1 GT3 for us to film. So
yeah, so I'm less worried about the dealership experience. And just so you know, when I go and buy cars, I don't bring up the fact of who I am or who I'm not. I go in as a regular customer. I don't pull like, hey, do you know who I am? I really go in.
Yeah, you're one of two weird guys.
Yeah. I just don't want to deal with that. I just want to buy it and be in and out. And I don't want any BS. But with the Motorworks connection, if I have a problem with the BMW, I will leverage it because I just don't want a car out of service anymore. Anyway, that's the X7 story.
Should I sell? This is John Poe. Should I sell my 2012 Corvette Grand Sport and buy a GR86? My previous car was an NB Miata. The Corvette is fun and very fast, but I've come to realize that for daily driving, autocross, and the occasional track day, less is more.
That's you.
No, I'd keep the Grand Sport. You know, V8, double wishbone car, lots of mechanical grip, great motor, manual trans. I mean, the GR86 is a affordable sports car where that is a real sports car.
Well, it depends if he's in it too much money.
Yeah, it's
like
true.
if you know, there's a big difference. You could be in a car that has he's $60,000 worth of Corvette, or you could be in a $30,000 GR86 and have, you know,
if money isn't a consideration, keep the Corvette.
Yeah, and you don't care if you're not addicted to the straight line speed. I think the 86 is every bit as like fun, and the Miata is, I mean, more fun on the street than the Vet. 100%.
Way more fun. Yeah. Thoughts on the hot hatch market? This is from Fortunate Calf in the U.S. going forward. The GR Corolla is coming out. Do you think the VW may give it some more focus to the GTI? Do you think VW will give more focus to the GTI and R, and Subaru may bring back the WRX STI?
I don't think Subaru is bringing back the STI and what you think it's going to be. It's going to be some abomination at this point. I don't know so I'll be completely honest. With everything that's going on with emissions regulations, if you're a smaller car company, the concept of clinging onto some internal combustion engine or specialized development on that is like, you might have one more model, but they're done.
Pretty much. This is going to be the last WRX, as much as people hate the way it looks.
Yeah.
This is the last one. That said, those who have not driven it and ridden it off, you should drive it because it drives better than the better looking prior gen.
I mean, you really got to like that car, man. Because I mean, I'm not like a huge Subaru fanatic.
Subarus.
Oh, well, how you don't hate them that much?
I hate the
turbocharged.
I hate the turbocharged ones.
Okay, well, whatever. I mean, you really, now it's beyond like liking or disliking the way that thing looks, and if you get one with that enormous screen on the inside, it's just
it's hard. Well, you're going to see our impressions versus the other three. Hopefully, Subaru is the only one not to confirm that they're going to show up.
Yeah.
But you're probably going to see a comparison between the four somewhat affordable, under $40,000 sports sedan hatchback.
It sucks because they just figured out how to make it drive good.
Yeah.
Like beyond drive good, like engine tuning and all that. Mm-hmm. It's the best driving WRX, and now it looks... And like they got everything else screwed up. It's like you can't win with this stuff. And there's so few choices now. I think that's the big thing is like, are these companies gonna go all in? And of course, Toyota.
But they have unlimited money.
Toyota has unlimited money, and they don't have to meet all these criteria because they have so many models globally. Like Mazda, they're screwed. They can only have they have to work in this confine, and any money they spend is not going to be on development of some like cool sports car because they have to make something that people are going to buy in volume. So the big companies might be able to pull it off, like the Z06 stuff and
all the Porsche
stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
well, they have VW money.
But then this shit's like so much money that normal people can't afford it.
Yeah, we have a Taycan Turbo S Cross Turismo as a press car. We finally did a Taycan, and we We were supposed to have done the GTS a while ago, but of course, given our luck, when we show up to LA to film the thing, it's snowing in the canyons. So they shipped one out to us on snow tires. And this is the best EV car that I've driven, hands down. But it also is the most expensive.
It's stupid expensive.
It's $216,000.
And then it's got like what, a 200-mile range?
Yeah, it's 238 or something.
Okay, so
yeah.
again, here you are. You know, you got a car that's like one of the best cars ever in on paper and to physically drive, and then it's completely like only for 1% of people, and then you get a range that's like not competitive with some of the other electric cars. So
the Plaid gets. I hate Teslas, right? They make electric cars that are not, to me, they're not really, the car part isn't the focus. It's the gimmick of it's really fast in a straight line and you get Netflix. I mean, I know you feel somewhat similar.
Yeah, no, I do.
This is a great car because it drives like a Panamera.
It's a great car, and then you want a Tesla. You want Tesla range.
Yeah. Don't worry, Porsche will sell it to you for another $100,000.
Well, I said this in the EV6 video. We're in Gen 1, like the first generation, like real generation of cars that you could buy and you would buy. But, you know, like in like 8 years, when the second and third generation cars are out, these are they're just going to be irrelevant. Nobody's going to want a car, an EV with 200 miles range. I don't know what more they do in terms of speed. Because like Jack's
it's horrifying.
I got there to the shop today. Jack's, oh man, you gotta drive this Taycan. I'm like, dude, I just want to get back in my Capstone Tundra and flop all over the place. And I drove this thing, and I'm like, I literally had a headache after driving it. Like that G-force, that torque that you get in your head and in your skull, your brain is just like smashing into your skull.
My old man drove it around a couple days ago, and he was just like, man, I think I made myself sick.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I don't know what else you do. I want to follow up one more thing with the X7 because I didn't answer it. So the people always ask, like, why didn't you get a GLS, or why didn't you get a GX? Why didn't you get the Audi? The only other car that I really considered was a SQ7. And the SQ7, the problem with it is it does not have the cargo capacity. That's why I ruled it out. You sacrifice a lot in cargo. So for shooting, when we load, the XC90s actually wind up more usable. The XC90 is more usable in terms of cargo capacity than the X7, even though on paper it doesn't look that way. But we need that to pack this thing full of gear and drive cross country. I wanted air ride, and I wanted really good suspension and engine this time, because when we're on track with the XC90, that thing was like blowing black smoke out the back. It can't turn. The traction control like turns the car off if you're turning and accelerating, even going slow. So the BMW was that big boat that rides great soft, and it has the performance to match, and it can still be a hauler. It's a very hard thing to get right now.
And you don't warp the brakes just going through the hills.
No, I know. Like the XC90, literally, Jack we were driving to Tennessee, and he was going down a couple like grades, you know, where trucks have to be in a higher or a lower gear.
Use their air brake
down. And Jack just was hitting the brakes randomly downhill. And we're talking about like a 10-minute stretch. You're probably on the brakes for maybe 30 seconds. The brakes were warped from there on after that. That's how shitty the brakes are on that car. I mean, it's just pathetic. And granted, the thing was loaded up, with 3 people and like full of gear. But I mean,
that's still not an excuse.
No, it's not an excuse. It just, I was done. So anyway, the X7, biggest, best performance, probably maybe one of the least reliable. I don't know yet. We'll find out. Anyway, go on, Jack.
To answer someone else's question from Patreon, do you think EVs will ever be more than a commuter? And I think from a performance, I don't know what that means, but if you're looking for a sports sedan, a Taycan is a sports sedan. That thing would annihilate an M5 on a back road. It's just, you have no range.
So I'll just put it this way. I had a conversation with a guy at the track about it because he has a C8 Corvette. And he was like, electric cars have the advantage over ICE cars. They will be the future. And the best way to explain that to somebody is that DBX you just drove, the 707, when you look at the engine and the drivetrain, like the transmission tunnel, I mean, it would take up this entire room. The engine is like 6 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
The transfer case is like bigger than like a Fiat 500. And all of that is sitting high up. And the complexity, the weight. It's just, it doesn't make any sense when you look at how low everything is at an electric car. And
you have the added rigidity of the electric
car. If they do it right, you have the rigidity. Everything is like basically touching the ground. So you have that advantage other than the weight part of the batteries. And then if you get a company that understands, look, now we can put a semi-manual steering rack back in the car. We can create a more physical connection now that we've gotten rid of everything else. And when a company really gets to that point and focuses on creating a driver's car that's not isolated out everywhere, I think those EV cars have huge potential for being way better than most of the engine-based or gasoline-powered cars. It's just you lose the sound. It's just something that.
But sound now is so bad in cars.
I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do to fix that. That's part of the experience of cars.
All right, I'm going to answer like 2 more Patreon questions, and again, the rest of this we'll answer in a direct video, and I'll do my best if those who answer via text. What do you think? What's next for Savage Geese? And I guess that's kind of the thing we've talked about. We're going to give this another 1.5 2 years to see where we're at and reevaluate. But a lot of big projects, right?
Yeah, I've really struggled with this the past like 4 months. It's some of life situation, some of the financial aspects of depending on this as a way to make a living. Jack gets paid, and you can't keep a guy like Jack and not pay him. You know what I mean? So
you can pay me in Arby's, dude.
Yeah, and I know he doesn't. He says he's doing. There's other reasons we're doing this, not just for the money. But let's be real about it. We both have considerations that are important outside of this in life.
That own more factories.
Yeah, this guy needs more bullion, and his vault is getting really thin right now. He's trying to buy 10 cars. But the point, really.
You mean one GT3 in this market?
Yeah, exactly. It's tough. One of the people that we know sent me that link today from Jerry Seinfeld, and he in some podcast he said that he likes us out of all the obscure YouTubers for car
we're the
content.
2 weird guys and one of us is real techie.
Yeah. So I mean, there's people, I think, from an accomplishment perspective, and I don't even think about this. That's not why I do it. I don't do this for the cool factor. I do it, or I originally did it because I like the filmmaking part and I like learning about the cars. But now that I'm looking at my bank account every day and I'm like, we're having a bad month, the economy's bad. At what point do I sit here and
we supplement this with corporate work? We do vendor work for big tech companies. And even then it's like, one project for them pays way more than anything we've ever done.
And I mean, that's great. And then, you do corporate jobs that you don't like. And then that takes 2 months out of your life. And then your trade, it's all the trade-offs of this. So I don't know. The long story short is I need corporate work to survive with some of this, obviously. And, the car stuff, I don't know. I don't know where it goes.
Yeah, I think for me, we talk about this all the time. Mark's really bad at living in the present, and I am now. I'm getting worse at it. I used to think the cars were cool when you first started this, and now the cars are less cool. It's more about meeting some of the people involved with it. I was thinking about this driving here because I knew we were going to talk about some of this shit. You and I, for better or for worse, have gotten to do some really, really cool stuff with cars. GT3 launch, driving the first Miatas in the US. But when you strip that back, I think getting to meet some of the people who've dedicated their lives to build some of this stuff. And for them, it's not just a cool car or an object, it's their lives. Like, say what you want about the DBX 707, Andy Tokley, the guy that I met, the guy that everyone thinks looks like my cousin with an English accent, or my brother. I mean, that guy, his whole life has been, this is his first real lead project. He replaced Matt Becker, who was the guy from Lotus, and he came from Lotus and he designed the DBX. Yeah, I mean, say what you want, but this guy got to be a lead designer, a lead engineer on a car, and hanging out with him was amazing. And getting to interface with Andreas Preuninger was like a childhood dream.
Yeah.
Getting an interview with Tom Montana. So some of that stuff's really cool. The cars have kind of less matter now to me.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying, because that is part of it, is that to have that connection and meet these people that are actually doing
but hear
the
their
work.
Stories. They don't care about me,
well,
but
they're doing the work.
Yeah.
Like Jack's like, oh, I'm gonna go to the 707 thing. I'm like, do you really want to waste 5 days of your life traveling for like 6 hours in this car? And for me, there's no way I would have gone to that event. I don't care what car it was. I was not going to sit in an airport or sit in a flight and then just to drive.
But I don't have kids, right? That's the difference.
Well, I mean, that's the thing too. I mean, there's these other parts of it. The car part now is way less important to me, and also it's far less important to me when nobody can buy it. Like it's so unattainable to most people. It's so
It's a hyper
unrelatable.
irrelevant, in totally irrelevant car.
But I think a lot of these cars have turned into this for me. And I hate the fact that I'm spending all this time on videos that for people that can't buy them, can't afford them, they're completely unrelatable. So the only way I can find joy in it is tell me how they were made, explain why you did the way that things that you did, so people can actually learn something from it and not feel bad the fact that they can't afford it. And it's becoming a harder balance for me to take this stuff.
But doesn't
seriously.
that go back to the people part? You get to meet some of these people.
A lot of this, I'm thinking about like the LX video that we just did in the EV, or the Ionic, because you did the EV thing. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, what would somebody that's watching this, like me on the other end, because I'm getting to do this, what if I was on the other end and I still had a real job and I wanted to learn about it? What do I want to know? So I feel a responsibility for trying to cover those things as best as I can to help people learn partly what I'm having the, we're lucky to have the access we do at this point. So I don't want to take that for granted and not waste people's time and show people as much as they can possibly get out of it.
But a lot of this industry, and this is totally derailing our live stream at this point, but a lot of this industry, you go to these events, you meet a lot of our peers. It's not set up to learn anything or teach anyone anything. The OEMs don't have the time to meet everybody. A lot of these senior, I hate the word journalist, because journalist to me is like Woodward and Bernstein.
Yeah.
No, it's not cars. Buying an Aston Martin or something isn't like life or death. But a lot of the journalists we work with are more interested about talking about their boats and, you know, what cool car they drove than actually knowing anything about the car or what cool trip they went on versus, oh, I got to speak to this engineer. No, oh, I got to go to Rome. I'm like, I don't give a shit.
It is a weird place to be. And it's like every job. A lot of this inner circle of journalism, or whatever you want to call it, is a social club. You have the people that have been in it for a long time, and their only concern is to either talk about how cool they are, or what they did but that you didn't get to do, or what can I get that you don't have.
It's like the worst version of high school dealing with some of these people, but it's not even that. It's you take away all the normal people from high school and you deal with either really hyper nerdy people or people who were kind of popular in high school but were secretly losers and now they have power. That's what you're dealing with. And it's just us two weird guys not talking
I don't
to
care
anyone.
about any of it. Like I tell every manufacturer, like, if I'm going to go there, just give me the car. So
and let me talk to an engineer.
Let me talk to the people who made it. Let me make my video, my little video, and you're going to get the most value out of it. I don't care about anything else. I don't want to sit in a hotel. I don't want the dinners. I don't want to fake socialize with people that don't care about me any more than, you know, like the fake smiles that come on. Oh, it's great to have you here. They don't care. You don't even have to fake it. Just let me do a good job. That's all I care about. And it's not set up to do that at all. Like,
nope. No, it's
set up for people that want the trips and want all the bullshit. They literally exist for that.
So there's a press fleet in every area. And this is the other inside baseball part of this. There's a press fleet in like LA, Chicago, major cities. And the fleet goes out to newspapers and car magazines and journalists and freelancers. I guarantee you 3/4 of the loans of these, because these cars are out every single week. 3/4 of the cars that go out are just for some journalist who's not going to do anything in the car, you know, go to a country club with and return the vehicle or crash it, which happens all the time out here in Chicago. And we'll bring cars out here. Like I brought the GT500 back a year ago now. We're like, oh, please Ford, bring us this car. We'll do a great video. We worked with Jeff Grauer. I'm like, oh, give it out to some other outlets and then we'll take it back to shoot the track portion. The next person who got it wrote off the car and didn't do anything with it.
I don't think they wrote it off, but it got hit in the guy's driveway.
Yeah, I think his wife backed,
his wife backed into it. We had to wait. We worked for like a month and a half to get this car, and somebody's wife hit it in the driveway, and they pulled it from the fleet after that. So I mean, it's like stupid shit like this all the time. And not to say that, you know,
no, we're not amazing or anything.
No, it's not even about that. It's just
anyway.
Yeah, whatever, man.
I totally derailed this. I apologize. Best car under 50 grand. That if you love internal combustion engines, and best car under $100,000. I've combined two questions.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Best enthusiast car under 100 grand. What would you spend for under $100,000? You had your LC, which you loved, V8 naturally aspirated rear-wheel drive. What else?
I still can't answer that because it's now that I've thought about this stuff more, there is no best car because we're all so different in our essential needs. Like you'd have to break it up. Like, what's the best car for a driver? What's the best car that somebody wants to go fast? What's the best car that's the most comfortable fast car? I mean, there's all these different
Under 100 grand, it's LC 500,
Yeah.
GT5. If you love internal combustion, like internal combustion's going away. GT 350, which is used now. A GTS 4 liter.
What's a GT 500? Is that over 100?
Supposedly they're 80 grand sticker. Let's say you got them for 90. Still, it's under 100 grand.
So LC 500,
GT 500.
GT 500, probably what's the Porsche GTS thing?
The 4 liter.
What's that?
88 starting.
Is
Good luck
really?
getting one, yeah. But
like if you got one for 99.
Good, yeah, under 100.
That's probably the best feeling driver's car for 100 grand. And then best like luxury car, I still say the ES350 or the ES300 hybrid pile as like that cruiser is amazing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean there are a lot. I responded in Patreon to that, but there are a lot of good cars under that.
I mean, and then you just get into the same tropes. Now you're going to add the GR Corolla to it, the 86 ND Miata. It's the same because there's just nothing else like those.
And the new Z.
And the new Z, which we can't obviously say how it drives, but you can go under this assumption: a manual transmission, high horsepower. You know, it's a great formula.
Real differential, not a viscous diff, a real mechanical LSD clutch based. Anyway, it's a good car. Okay, let's get into the many paid questions and some of the regular questions as well. The Patreon, I will get back to you guys on all the other questions. I just don't want this to go till 3 o'clock.
Yeah, there's so much, and it's really hard to balance all the questions and also pay attention to like what's going on. And Chris, if you could, Chris the Chin is the moderator for all this stuff. He's in the background, like making sure everything's cool. Chris, if you're listening, can you make sure that some of the stuff in the comments, like if there's common questions that are coming up that people are asking, just to forward it over to Jack so we can kind of answer normal questions too, because that's not why we're doing this, is to answer paid questions only. I really
trying to answer actual questions.
There's a lot here. So
first is I Hate Shysters. Thank you for your $10 donation and thank you for the kind words. Anthony, $10 for some instant relief. Thank you. Dominic, thank you for the $10 donation. Milkman for $5. Huge fan from the jump. Owner of the Genesis sedan V6 2015. Pretty reliable and good car. Would love to see your review on the X7 and GLS. So you're going to do an X7 owner.
I'm going to do it. So the X7 just got refreshed like yesterday or the day before.
Looking real prime.
So this is exactly one of the reasons why I wanted the Generation X7 that I did. And I don't have a picture of it, but it's the X7 M50i.
Yeah.
With it's basically 100% fully loaded. 100% every single option is financed. It's not new. I got a 2020. So I didn't lease this thing and I bought a warranty for it. But one of the reasons why I liked it is it's blacked out. Like all the chrome is blacked out. When you look at it, it looks way more normal now than it did when it came out. When you look at the updated one,
the iX is horrifying.
Yes,
looking.
I mean, it's so like this generation, even though people hated the grill, is now like normal. And when you look at the inside compared to the refreshed X7, now they got rid of all the physical controls. So they
ruined the best thing about BMW.
Exactly, one of the best things about that generation car was they still had that stuff that you understand how to use, and that's why I really like the X7 compared to like the Q7. Where you got 2 screens and all that crap. The HVAC is on a screen. I didn't want to go back to that. But I will do a comparison with the new X7 because we'll be able to get that as a press car versus the old one. And then the GLS, Mercedes is like, we don't get anything from Mercedes.
We have an EQS coming.
Oh yeah, that's right. But we're the last people
on planet Earth. They gave us I never asked for a Maybach. Like, you want a Maybach? I'm like, okay. So they claim that we will get a GLS. I don't know if that's true. That's like they claimed they'd give us an SL. That never happened.
What is an SL?
The convertible thing.
Oh.
But anyway, it's an irrelevant car. Not the GLS, but the SL is probably a pretty irrelevant vehicle. It's over $100,000 convertible.
That's like another bullion mobile.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, thank you for the donation once again.
Thank you for the donations. Obviously, who was the first 2 people that
Dominic and Anthony.
Dominic and Anthony, thank you. Appreciate it.
Gladdy02 for $5. Thoughts on the new Integra? I have no issue with a luxury hatchback Civic Si.
I haven't driven it, but it's a Civic hatch in a different body with better audio system.
Probably quieter.
So you take it just at that, and I'll just say this because I'm going to say it in the review. If they would have named it an RSX, nobody would have said anything. Like the same thing that you say about every rebranding exercise. If they're like, "Oh, here's the new RSX," people are like, "Cool." But because they put the Integra name, everybody's got their panties in a bunch about it, or underwear. I don't want to. Okay, you know what I mean. So really, if it's a Civic hatch that's better, it's going to be an amazing car, assuming they don't overprice it and the dealers don't bend you over.
And I think there's a lot of bad internet vibes about the regular Civic Si, the sedan we drove. I don't like front wheel drive, but that thing's $27,000 and some change. It's a great driving car for $27,000 and change.
Yeah. I mean, keeping it rooted in reality that they are amazing cars for what they are. Does it lose the spirit of the old Hondas? Yes. Like every new car that is being sold today, aside from like a GT4 RS, which is unobtainium, like cars that have real development budgets, all the new internal combustion cars that are turbo, there's nothing, you can't compare a 20-year-old like Integra Type R or a GSR or a Civic Si from the 8th gen. It's just a different era. So as a usable everyday car, the Integra should be
good, amazing. And it competes in the really tiniest segment of premium front-wheel drive-based cars.
Yeah.
You have A3, BMW 228i thing. Mercedes killed their premium small front-wheel drive car. It's probably going to be fine.
And which one of those has manuals?
0.
Does the BMW have a manual?
Nope. Not here, at least.
So there you go. If it doesn't matter, they're going to kill it off. They're going to kill off the manual anyway. But I mean, really, that's the point.
Why is there a manual?
Yeah, why they're going to kill off the manual. It's just a matter of time. So you want it. It's going to be a good car. Hopefully, the engine doesn't have problems.
Ed Starr for $10. Thank you, Ed, for the $10. My local Honda dealer has 12 HRVs available right now. If you want something else, you'll have to wait. Oh, man, that sounds good.
The Fit HRVs, I'm sure they won't be able to give those things away when the new one comes out.
And the new one's getting unveiled soon, as many of you guys know. Han for $5. Thank you, Han. Han W. I own a 2017 DCT M2 non-comp. I love driving it, but I'm worried about long-term reliability and costs involved. Any suggestions and tips?
So I just talked to a guy at our last meet, and he pulled me aside, and he's like, "You really need to revisit the G80 M3." I have a G80 M3 DCT that's got I'll tell you how many miles he's got.
This is just like an insane amount.
Okay, it doesn't have the mileage, but it's over 120,000 miles, and he says he's tracked it, he's tuned it, he's driven it since 30,000 miles and never had one issue. And I think some of that goes to the fact that the modern BMWs, that engine and that gearbox, even the DCT, is really solid. I wouldn't recommend tuning it or modifying it 100%, but this last couple generations has been
really
a highlight.
Yeah. If you're worried, find a reputable non-dealer that specializes in BMWs in your area and work with them.
Yes, 100%.
All right. X Jester 1975 for $5. Any plans to autocross the GR86? Highly recommend the SCCA Chicago region. Hope to see you out there. Maybe it's more time. He and I both like autocross.
If I had the time, I would do it, but I don't. And if I had the time, I'd probably take it to a track, and I don't have the time to do that either, unless it's for work.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to be back in a place one day where I take my trailer and toter home with my autocross car that's like $10,000. And
I remember when I met you, we were autocrossing at the SCCA region out here. Some dude showed up with that was
Tri-State.
Oh, it was Tri-State. Now that we've done this, we met real race car drivers and been really fortunate. My tolerance now for people who take some of this stuff hyper seriously, though, the guy would show up with a race trailer with a GT3 on R comps. I'm like, I've never met an engineer now that we've been doing this who's like, man, I really want my car to be faster on a parking lot.
Yeah, and it's not even downplaying. We're not downplaying the autocross part because I love
autocross. But
it's a challenge to do it. It really is to try to churn out 6 or 8 runs.
But it's just the self-seriousness part.
That's what I don't like is the people that are like, life or death about parking lot racing, taking their rear view mirrors off because
1 gallon of gas,
or there was some other crazy
or yelling at one another.
Yeah,
over
yelling. We have the part where people yelling at somebody there. Okay, man, you staged. You gridded that car off the line. Even though track day bros you get the track day bros that are the same shit,
if not worse, because there's more money involved.
The more money, the more people get nuts.
Gladdy02 for $5. Gladdy, thanks for the $5 donation. After driving the 2.5 Stinger, do you still like the VW Arteon more, even for a long-term purchase?
I'll be completely honest.
You don't remember the Arteon?
I remember the Arteon like I remember what pair of socks I wore 3 days ago. That's all I'm gonna say. I mean, the Arteon.
At least you don't remember it for being horrible.
No, it wasn't. It was just forgettable. I mean, the Stinger was memorable because I hated the way that they set up that car.
Like bad food poisoning is what's why it's memorable.
No, I think I got misconstrued. I'm not saying the Stinger itself is a bad car. I'm saying that their rear-wheel drive implementation of a 300 horsepower turbocharged car should be a rear-wheel drive car, not drive like a front-wheel drive. That's all I said about it. If you had a rear-wheel drive twin turbo V6 and their turbo V6, whatever it is, I'm sure it's way more exciting to drive. But if I didn't care about rear-wheel drive, which you shouldn't care if you got a
license that you care about, you can't go sideways everywhere.
Well, a 4-cylinder Stinger, you might as well just get an Arteon.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, John for $2. My wife is jealous that I watch you more than I watch her. Well,
what does she do?
I don't know.
Does she have a car YouTube channel? Because if she did, she'd be way bigger than us. Well, you know what? Just tell her. Priorities. These guys.
Overweight Asian dude, bald white guy.
I'm getting my hairline fixed. I'm gonna get inked. There was some on because I don't have enough time to watch basketball, but Charles Barkley and Shaq and their thing they do pre and post games. They did one where I forgot who the other dude is, but they're like, man, it's crazy how your hairline came back, and he had like his hairline fixed in between like one of the 2 episodes or something. And I'm sitting there thinking, how embarrassing. You make fun of the fact that you're bald, but then you go get it fixed, which is even more obvious.
If you live in the Chicagoland region, though, Urlacher has so many billboards about.
Oh my God. Yeah, you go on 90, which is the major interstate into Chicago, and every billboard, from a certain point, is for Restore, the hairline company.
And he's not kidding; it's every billboard.
Yeah, so it's Ryan Sandberg, Chicago Cubs player, and Brian Urlacher, the Chicago Bears player. They are the spokes. Well, not even. They're just faces with hair on their head. And I'm sitting there, that's so embarrassing. I'm like, I don't. If you have millions of dollars, I guess if you want to sell it for your hairline, I mean, it's weird to me.
It's amazing.
I mean, I would rather do something at least have some comedy to it. And there's no comedy.
No, it's self-serious. You look better with more hair.
Man, this guy, he was a loser before he didn't have hair. Now he's got millions and a hairline.
San PK for $10. Thank you, San, for your $10 donation. Dusty Beckett, who's one of our Patreons, thank you for your $5.
Yeah, thank you.
Please put this towards the Murano Cross Cabriolet Fund.
Oh, yeah.
We have an amazing Cross Cabriolet story to tell.
Should we tell it?
Yeah, we'll tell it.
All right. So first off, a lot of these donations are going to pay Chin for moderating because he's behind the scenes, even though we should have a full production where you have video clips and graphics. That's my fault because I just don't want to deal with it. But anyway, big thanks to thanks to Chris in the comments for keeping everything flowing smoothly. And he's feeding us the comments so we don't have to sit here and pause a million times. But let's get back to the story. So we're at Nissan headquarters to shoot the Z. And we were like, do you guys happen to have a Murano Cross Cabriolet in your museum fleet? They're like, yeah, we do. It's seafoam green. I think black top or tan top, whatever. I'm like, oh, do you think we could get it? And the dude's like, not if you're going to be an asshole. Well, he didn't say it like that, but essentially he said it like that almost. I'm like, well, that screws that up.
Yeah, I think I told him, I'm like, I don't think you'll like the video we're going to make.
So that got screwed up. But we did learn the development story behind the Nissan cross cabriolet, which we're going to bore you now for about 2.5 minutes and take a break from questions. So as it turns out, the Murano was hot, and it had a pretty big following with the female demographic over a certain age. And Carlos Ghosn happened to be pretty excited with the fact that his wife really loved the Murano. And she's like, this is a great car. I love the fake wood trim on the inside and just that tan top. And things are going to happen between you and I tonight if you get home and you tell me that you can somehow bring me home a convertible Murano. And he's like, well,
let me talk to the doctor.
Let me talk to the doctor, get on some pills, and then also let me get back and talk to R&D and see if we can make this happen. So, Jack, how did it play out?
So he turned to his product planning and R&D team and went, make this happen because I need to have relations with my wife. And they went, okay, we can do this, sir. And it took a couple years. I'm sure the wife.
He said that it had to be done in a year.
Oh yeah, it had to be done in a year
because she was going to lose interest in the Murano if it wasn't done right away. So like, well, this is kind of whatever.
So it happened. They built it, and it was a massive success. No,
it was a massive success for his wife, a massive failure and joke for everybody else. But really, that car existed for personal reasons. And if you're running a company, I mean, what car would you, if you worked for, let's say, don't say Porsche or BMW. If you worked for what's an everyman car called Kia.
Well, I'd be God because I'm actually Korean. They
okay,
worship
so
me.
You're the first hybrid Korean like CEO, and you're 3 wives. You show up and you're like, oh, I really like this Kia Sportage. No, she wouldn't be driving a Kia Sportage. She'd be driving like what's that one Cadenza? You brought the Cadenza back.
All right.
So she's like,
the flagship.
So what would you do if you had the pull?
Man, I think I would make a Cadenza convertible. I would remove the rear door. I would just make it as long as possible, like an old Lincoln Town car.
Really?
Yeah.
You would. That's lacks creativity.
Oh, what would you do?
It would have to be some.
One of your wives in the other state, one of the other American states that you fathered a child with, went, Mark, I want another kid in me, but I need you to make me a car at Chrysler. What would you build?
Oh, at Chrysler?
Yeah.
Oh, that's easy. They've already done it.
A Plymouth Prowler?
I would do a Jeep Renegade with a Plymouth Prowler front end, open wheel, and then I would have it crossed with the fucking SUV truck, or what's the truck thing called? The Jeep truck.
Oh, God, the Gladiator.
So it would be a Prowler front end, a Renegade box, and then the back would be the pickup truck. And then I would put an EV. I would put a hybrid Hellcat engine in it, so she would have the quietness.
Oh, you're amazing. All right. With that, as all our viewers have now left us, I'm sure. Adam Holland, thank you for your $5 donation. Love what you guys do. Yashar for $5. Thank you, Yashar.
Thank you.
Will you guys be reviewing the new RS3? Well, Yashar, let me tell you, I have asked Audi every single time you guys have asked me, will you review an RS3? And I go, dear Audi USA, this is our viewer base. We would like to do this. I'm sure one of our viewers will buy one of these cars. And they went, we don't have one in the fleet. So ask your local dealer. And I'm not going to ask a local dealer.
No, I'm not asking a local dealer either. And then our Audi rep quit.
Yeah.
Jack just kept emailing the guy. He's like, fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah, now he works at another Japanese car company where I can bother him there.
You should bother him tomorrow.
Hey, man, did you ever get that Audi? I know you're at another brand. Chris Walks Fast for $2. Top 2 car YouTubers that you each like to watch. You want me to go first? You want to go first?
You go first.
I will say probably the 2 Canadian outlets are my 2 favorites. Jacob and Yuri are the nicest people in the world. They are really nice guys, and I know they don't like one another, but Throttle House and Thomas and James are really, really talented. What they can do, they have a big team, but Karsten shits out a lot of videos, and he does a really good job. I think they do a good job. How about you? Did I just say the same outlets you're going to say?
I feel like you have to be treading carefully with this stuff because I don't get to watch a lot.
No, yeah.
I'm basically I'm behind the computer all the day. But honestly, yes, Yuri and Jacob, I want to work with them again. They're a different pairing than everybody else.
Do they bring a much different audience than we do normal
they,
people?
They do something that a lot of people can, and that's be relatable. Like they have this similarity. Like Doug. Doug is relatable because
He's a normal guy.
he's a normal dude, and people love that about him. Honestly, the only guy I pay attention to from a technical perspective usually is Chris Harris, and he's so
Well, Chris Harris is God.
Chris Harris is so removed now because he's been in the game for so long that like he's got his normal stuff and his business that he's trying to run. And then whenever he has to be on Top Gear, he's a different person because he has.
If you're going to bring in Euro, like
you're talking about America?
Yeah,
Was
America.
that the question?
Yeah, well, I made it America, not globally.
Well,
Globally, it's Chris Harris is number one.
Yeah.
Then probably Henry Catchable at Carfection. They do really, really good stuff.
Yeah. I guess, yeah. So Yuri and Jacob, Chris Harris, and then the Throttle House guys who I met them both through the Straight Pipes when I was in Canada, and I hung out with both of them at James's place. And this was before they were Throttle House.
There's just two guys back then.
Yeah, it was, it was different then. And I've kept in touch with them, and I think, and I told this to Thomas on text, and I had told him, like, I watch your stuff and it makes me angry. Like, I know that's really weird because, it makes me angry because it's some of the pushing the boundaries of what you can do as an independent. Because every outlet's now bought and sold by a big company. Yeah. It's hard to survive being independent. They've really pushed hard on the creative side while we're in a different place, I think, like content. I have a lot of respect for what they were able to do from a business side and from a creative side and blending it together. It's something I haven't been effective at doing. And that's what makes me angry, is because I've failed in some of the core things that I set out to do. So it pushes me to see.
Oh, now since then we've reprioritized what each of us does.
Yeah.
Now I'm literally John Business. Yeah. I have to be.
Right.
It sucks, but I mean, we joke about it all the time, but that's literally who I've turned into. I've turned into a cartoon character.
Yeah.
There are some of these OEMs I have real relationships with, and I really like the people. A lot of the other OEMs is like, hey, you know who I am? Like, this is what I have to, and I hate being that guy.
Yeah, right. Well, and that's the sad part about this, is you have to play that game to get the things that you need to get to create content and to cover these cars. Like, the way that I handle it is, like, I want to edit and create, but that doesn't get you cars. No. It doesn't get you anywhere. And I don't have time to be playing buddy with everybody and being like, at a certain point you would think, okay, here's my work. The work doesn't speak for itself all the time. Mm. Certain people respect you and they will always help you, and there's a mutual relationship, but that's not the way this business works. People are constantly turning over.
Aren't that way.
Yeah. So
we have Mazda. Those guys are the best.
Yeah.
Drew's amazing. He's one of the head PR guys there. We have Porsche purely because, well, long story short, they've become a very, very nice brand to work with, but they also like this stuff.
Yeah, right.
A lot of the guys who work at that brand were in media.
Right, yeah. And they have a different approach. They value technical stuff. They value information, whereas other brands, like, and I'm not throwing them under the bus, but like Kia and Hyundai are a great example of, it doesn't matter what product it is.
They know nothing.
They don't know the technical stuff because everything comes from Korea. And you ask the American reps, and they only prioritize like the certain hot topics for that car and that brand. When we brought this up before, like Telluride, right? Shortest, worst presentation ever. Great. It was great for the
cool trip.
Traditional media that was there that didn't want to know about a differential. They didn't want to know about like rear wheel.
And they had an engineer there, and they hit him away.
They just put him in the door. Don't talk about it. And when you did ask, and that's what I asked, I'm like, what is this platform? He's like, well, it's a modified Sedona architecture.
Yep.
And then they quickly backpedaled away from that later on. Like, no, it's not the Sedona.
It's the
Sorento platforms, because they didn't want it. They made the mistake of tying it to the minivan, and so certain brands don't value the technical stuff as much. and other brands do. And
or some brands really don't want you to talk to their engineers.
Right.
We worked on that Raptor video, and if you're bored, the intro is probably one of my favorite things we've done.
yeah, it was funny. It was fun that was just funny because it's like that's actually was like,
yeah, we were just being. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna buy strawberries," and I'm like, "All right."
Well, I bought strawberries, and then I'm like, "Well, I haven't eaten them. I might as well eat it during the drive." But anyway, go ahead.
But I got to speak to chief engineer and chief chassis engineer, and I had 40 minutes with them. And after the call, they were like, "Oh, we'd love to speak to you again. This is really interesting because no one ever asks us these questions." And then literally, I'm like, "Oh," I talked to the PR person. Went, "Oh, when can we schedule this next call? I have some more technical questions, follow-up questions." And she's literally like, "We're not doing it. Don't ask questions."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, all right. Well, all right. What we have is good enough."
So that really is the straight answer as to why so much media gets watered down after a while, because it's not set up. It's too much work to try to get all the people on the back end that aren't media facing. Like engineers their job is not to be the dog and pony show. They only get brought on when there's a new product launch or an update to things. That's the only time they're really talking. So to get them involved takes them away from the real jobs that, and they get behind.
But certain brands now, my argument to OEMs now, certain brands, who's the thing, when people think Corvette, if you know anything really about Corvettes, who do you think of? You think of an engineer, Tadge Juchter.
Yeah, right.
When you think of Porsches, who do you think of? You think of engineers like Frank Walliser and Andreas Preuninger. Like certain brands understand that. Kia tried, and they're like Albert Bierman.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
But anyway, this will get back to the questions. I apologize. Chris walks fast once again for $2. What oil do you use in your S2000?
I use a Redline 10W30, and I've never had a problem with oil pressure, oil temp. Well, I'll just repeat what somebody told me. Probably the guy from Counter Space Garage. He's like, "Yeah, the oil gets hot, but it's a Honda engine from that era, so don't worry about it." So that's kind of how I treat it. I just change the oil. I don't burn oil in my motor. I'm lucky. I got an AP2. So 10W30, it holds up to the heat, and Redline is thicker than other oils after 212 degrees Fahrenheit. It maintains its viscosity better than a lot of the other oils, and that's why I use it. So a 1030 Redline is more like a 1040 and another brand.
I have done the other extreme. I've used every oil in the world, as you know. So I had a Mustang that lived a horrible life. I will always remember the autocross I did with you. So the local Iowa region had me set up the autocross, and of course, you remember that.
Yeah,
I set up the autocross for me.
Yeah, on an airstrip where all it was going sideways.
But anyway, that car had like 7,000 on track or autocross miles. I logged them, so I beat the shit out of that car, and I went through Liquid Moly, Redline, Amsoil, and Modal. I ran like 4 or 5 different oil brands. I can't. One other one. As long as you change it frequently, you use the right weights, and as long as it's not like Bob's Discount Oil, you're probably going to be fine.
The difference is now versus back 20 years ago is you'd have a different argument then, because your real synthetic oils now are so good that to break them down, you would have to have an existing like mechanical problem with the you'd have to have an existing mechanical problem.
Run the right weight, change your oil, and check your dipstick.
Yeah, just know what oil weight you need to run for your car, and use a Group 5 synthetic, and you shouldn't have a problem.
Mark, thank you for the $20 donation.
Thank you, Mark.
Nearmit, any love for 80s and 90s car? What rad era car would you love to own?
Oh God, there's so many piles from that era.
What good car from that era would you want to own?
I don't know. I'm like a Honda douche.
Like you know what CRX,
I mean? Like it just all those piles I would love. And like I think that's what disappoints me more. I thought I'd be at a place in my life where I would have a garage of all these cool cars that are now becoming unobtainable, and it just grates.
Just sell the $100,000 X7 and then buy yourself a Geo Metro,
all the junks
CRX
that I constantly have to work on. No, I don't know. I mean, there's so many. I can't even think of. I'd want to get a whole bunch of I would love that midget, like to import a midget just to be a dick, because it's so slow.
We're doing K cars for the 5 people who are still watching this. We're doing a K car video, and we are getting, what the hell are we getting? A Honda today, which was like a Scott Zellner came out of sports and kill me because I can't remember who built it. I think it was a Mugen built car or something. Revs at 9,000 RPM and it sounds like a GT3.
Revs to 9,000 RPM and it sounds like a GT3 engine. It's like the most incredible driving experience.
His Honda van, I don't remember which van it's called, but it revs to 7,500 RPM.
Oh my god!
And then a Beat, I think the Honda Beat and something else.
Cars. Yeah, so we're gonna do. See, honestly, I like this stuff, but I'm not like. I haven't crossed over into the Dungeons and Dragons level of this shit.
Yeah, it is an Act T or Act Y or yeah, that's what it's. One of the commenters said ACTY Act T.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So I don't know. Like I know certain pockets of this, but I never went like to the extreme. Like, oh, now I got to get nerdy about all the subculture of all this because it's you could never get in the U.S. So I never really cared. But now I'm getting more interested in it because it's obscure in a somewhat of a cool way, which I think we'll show in the video. We'll see.
For me, it's one of the cocaine cars for sure. Like, I keep telling Mark this all the time. After this next car purchase, assuming it happens, and it probably won't, given what's happening with supplies. But I keep telling him the next car I really want to buy a 930, like an old turbo or regular G50 bodied or a Testarossa, something really stupid,
something like that.
Just and that'll break, and I'll make you pick me up off the side of the road.
Yeah, you can count me out. I'll send a limo
or a turbo Trans Am.
Oh my god! Yeah, that would be funny. Yeah. That's the one with the lights on the hood.
Yeah.
What is it? What is a shift light on the hood, or what was it?
No, it's the boost or something.
Yeah. Again, it's like all this useless car knowledge, but yeah, there's a whole bunch of cool shit out there that's just funny.
Like I want it to look like it was powered by someone who was in a coke binge all the time.
Yeah, right.
And all they played was like Michael McDonald.
Oh, that's gonna be. You might as well just get like a K car, like a Dodge Imperial. If you're gonna do that.
Yeah, smooth music. Christopher Von Braun, thank you very much for the $50 donation.
Thank you.
Appreciate the Dude 365, thank you for the $20 donation.
Thank you, sir.
The fiscal year closed out better than projected. The merger is progressing ahead of schedule, so I'm passing on the profits to you. Keep up the good work, and may your next quarter bring you more bullion.
Oh man, this Jack's hoarding all the bullion.
Man, that comment got me rock hard.
Every time I drive with this guy, I'm like, dude, what is that? You got wrenches on the bag? He's like, nah, man, it's just I'm not restocked the bullion. Why do you drive with bullion in the car? Why do
it's for weight distribution? I want all my cars to feel like a Porsche, so all the weight is over the rear axle.
Okay.
Yeah, you see, you understand?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sean McNamara for $5. Thank you for your donation. E36, E46, or E92 for a weekend collector item in the future. Owned an E92, like the most special. We won't speak about rod bearings.
A bunch of stuff with I just did a bunch of stuff with a local BMW mechanic where he did a rod bearing service on an E92. And I watched him do essentially the whole thing with the BE bearings. And he's done now, I think, 27 or 28 of them at varying mileage. And he said that almost all of them have needed it. But once he's done the new needed it. And the service is really not that expensive. So where I thought about it before, do you really want to get a car and have to do this? But in retrospect, it's like it's not that big of a deal. And doing throttle actuators, I mean, that's like what?
The problem now, that car is so much fucking money.
It is a lot of money, but I don't know. I like that car, but I don't like it. It's not edgy enough. Like I'd have to modify the hell out of the suspension to get it to be like responsive enough and not feel like that boat of a luxury car that they were. What was the question again?
E92, E46, E36.
Oh, yeah, that's all you, dude.
I used to love the E92. It was like that car. Given my age, it was the car that I grew up in high school with.
Yeah.
But I thought killed that car for me. It wasn't your experience. It was finally redriving after driving everything with Matt Mormon's car.
Yeah.
Matt Mormon, Obsessed Garage. I think he auctioned it off or something.
Yeah.
Nothing was wrong with the car, right? The best seats you could buy for that car.
Right, yeah.
Really nice suspension.
It was the best example of that car with modifications. And I didn't really like the exhaust, but it didn't matter.
And then after I drove it, I'm like, GT350 is better.
Yeah, I think you have to really love the BMWs of that era. I love the engine in it. And I told this to the BMW mechanic. I'm like, I wish they took that motor, whatever, the S something.
I don't
63.
remember. The V8, the 4-liter.
I wish they would have taken that and just put it in a smaller, like Z4 or a smaller car that was more purpose-built. It would have had this racy feel to it.
Z4M, that's the one you want to buy. We both drove that car. It's amazing.
Yeah.
0GN for $20. Thank you for the $20. Hey guys, supporting you as always. I'm the guy you all told to go with a Veloster last year, and I'm at 6,200 miles on my 2022 with 3 track days done. I love the car, minus the brakes getting too hot. Love you guys. Thank you so much. I'm glad you like your car, dude.
Was it a DCT?
He didn't say.
Probably.
Probably. Maybe. I don't know. Even if it wasn't, to me, I know we haven't done the comparison test yet, but on paper, the Elantra N, despite being hideous, is going to be really good to drive.
I'm going to have to not look at the car from the outside.
Yeah,
otherwise, it's going to skew my perception. But yeah, when we do that, I mean, there's no way in hell the Elantra N will not be the fastest car. I mean, it's the same thing for the Veloster N. I think the Veloster N is going to go down because they're killing that car off, or they're killing the normal one. I think they killed the normal one and they're keeping the N for short term. But that car is going to have like some weird value to it.
It'll be like the SRT Neons.
Yeah, for sure.
Smiles 11, and Smiles is the guy of the Carrera S992. Thank you for the $10, Smiles. I have an inbound GT3 Touring coming with a $50,000 ADM. I've always been against markups, but made an exception given the current market and has allowed me to skip the line. Is $50,000 too much?
Depending on what you paid for, like what you're optioned it out to. So if you option it out to 200,000 and you're paying 250,
to me,
yes, it is.
It's a lot of money, but
it's that car. It's like it's got the thing going that the LFA has that you can't explain it to somebody until you drive it. Like that money seems crazy even to me. Like I can't fathom the 50,000, but 10 years from now, when you're like, yeah, I get it, and I wish I would have spent it. That's kind of what that car is. I think it's got a long-term potential of being just an amazing car that transcends the period that we're in.
Will you get your money back?
No, I don't.
Probably not.
Really, you don't buy it for that. You don't.
If you're buying that car for the investment reason, I hate you for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're ruining the car. But if you just want the car and $50,000 is not a big deal to you, if you can spend $200, I bet you can spend $250.
Yeah.
It's the best car I've ever driven.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
One of the best cars I've ever driven. Top 5.
It's pretty good. I mean, it's just you're getting into that price point that's so extreme that it just kind of churns my stomach to think that you have to spend that money now to get that experience in a sports car. Is just
Was it better than the GT4 RS?
I don't know. I haven't driven them on the street. Both of them on the street.
But on the track.
The GT3 is better on the track. 100% better on the track. I know Porsche doesn't want to hear it, but you know the front end does not work well on the GT4 RS, in my opinion. As somebody,
and Thomas said the same thing in his video as understeer that the GT3 does not have.
Yes, the GT3 is like the best balance. Yes, okay, you lose some of the sound. I'm sure you could put a screwdriver through the airbox or something. I could put couple screwdriver holes in the airbox and say how it's designed with 20 engineers, and it'll sound loud too. But anyway,
if you can afford it, dude, and
you got the 50 grand to blow on an ADM, don't even feel bad about it because it's that good of a car.
If you're paying what did I send you, $150,000 ADM? Tell your dealer to go fuck themselves because that.
Well, there's the principal part that comes in. Do you want to support this behavior that dealers are getting away with? But at the same time, like our friends at Motorworks, you said it's their best year ever or something. And
I hate them for it. I hate them so much for it. But I know the guys personally. Like, I got my family to feed, and we have enough rich assholes who'll buy our cars at this price.
And for that year or two that they're killing people, they're going to have a year to 5 years of a downturn of recession where they're not going to be getting that money. So somehow it's going to balance out. I just don't know when. Nobody knows when.
Muggledew, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right, for $5. Thank you. Jack, thanks to you, I sold my IS200T and picked up an STI. Swap first gen and pretzel wagon. This is your fault.
Good. Well, I would rather.
I'd rather the WRX wagon.
250T, man. That was a
200T.
Sorry, I can't keep the numbers straight. Yeah, that was just like. I think I did that when I was shooting videos with Scott, the 200, and I just remember I hadn't even driven half the cars I drove, and I just didn't. I couldn't get excited for it. It was smooth. It was a smooth, it was like the ES, but rear wheel drive, but not rear wheel drive. It was like always neutering the experience.
It's kind of like the when I drove the IS350 F Sport, and people gave us a hard time for that. I drove it on the track, and I drove it on the street at Toyota, and we got the all-wheel drive one for some reason. Okay. That car.
See, the rear wheel drive version doesn't bother me as much because it does feel rear wheel
Yeah.
drive. It's just the transmission is like holds the car back to such an extreme compared to newer
It's unfair.
gearboxes.
If that car was a manual, which they would never have sold,
Yeah,
it would have been amazing. But anyway, Dan Knowles, thank you, Dan, for your $20. Dan is a longtime Patreon supporter of ours, and he's helped us a lot over the years.
yeah, Dan has been there through thick and thin. He found out about my
Yeah,
eczema that I was going my eczema treatments. He told me about the best
and the
steroid
financing plan for the Brian Urlacher hair.
cream. Yeah, he's putting in some money for my my restore treatments.
Presently, there are rolling burnouts merely because people run their home air conditioners. I don't see rolling burnouts like electric burnouts.
He was talking about rolling burnouts.
I got really excited.
I thought it was somebody like, hey Jack, you did a rolling burnout in my neighborhood. I'm gonna kill you. All right, brownouts, like rolling brownouts.
Brownouts, yeah. Merely because people are running their home air conditioners. I don't see people lining up to have coal-fired or nuclear generating stations in their backyards for EV car infrastructure, and that's a real problem.
Every time I bring this up, somebody is going to say that's not how it works. I will just say time will tell. If like our area or bad areas that have problems, like with the Texas thing. I think we brought this up last time. They had a bad winter. They had a winter where it snowed and people turned on their heat, and that was it. That's all.
And people died.
Yeah, well, beyond that, I mean, people they couldn't. They had
the
power
state broke basically.
Yeah, and they weren't designed for that type of draw. Now, what does that mean if you have 1 million cars charging in their garage?
How many Americans are there? 300 million Americans, right? Or 400, whatever. Say 3/4 of them have cars. Say half of those people then have electric cars. It's gonna be a big problem.
I don't know. I guess it's just you already can raise that question. Now it's a matter of the people that actually run the utility companies and the regulators, lawmakers to actually take that data and be like, let's say we have 1 million cars charging, what's it going to do to the power grid?
And who's going to pay for it?
And that's the thing is, like, this is questions nobody wants to talk about, or there's no solid
because you're going to have to
answer.
either raise taxes or come up with some kind of tax. And the problem with politicians is they run on election cycles.
Yeah.
And this is a problem that doesn't, you're not going to see direct results in 4 years in an election cycle. Same reason why no one funds NASA anymore, right? Whole idea of better future and engineering. It's not something you see during an election term.
Right.
So
it's spending money or getting more people to spend taxpayer dollars on anything, like no matter what it is,
losing proposition.
Yeah.
Han W, at the risk of sounding political, I apologize. Han W for $5 for a second fun car, ND2 or the new 86. I don't go to the track. I can't test drive them. I can't test drive the 86 as it's not in Australia yet. I own the year 2019 86. So he's coming from a current gen 86. Should he buy the new one or buy an ND?
If all you're doing is driving down the street and it's your second car, ND. If it's your only car,
no, he buys a GT3. He sells his kids' house.
Yeah, just pay $100,000 markup. No, the new 86 is an upgrade over the old one. So, yeah.
Christopher, thank you very much for the $50. I currently daily an E39 M5 with 340,000 miles. What the F am I supposed to aspire to buying for sub 50K that could come close to offering everything the M5 does as a daily? Man.
E92 or E90?
Yeah, probably.
Is that really probably the closest thing, maybe?
Yeah, good luck finding a nice E90, but that car...
That's hard to find, I know.
Yeah, E90, maybe an F80. You won't get the naturally aspirated thing, but I think
F80 is pretty badass.
Yeah, people hate the fake engine noise and all that other bullshit. If you look past it, that car is amazing.
Yeah, it's got the good. It's like the kind of this thing I talked about at the beginning. Why I did the X7 thing? It's got the X7 thing going, where it's got a modern interior with good electronics without getting rid of all the real physical stuff that you need every day that you want to feel like you're in a real car. And
by modern standards, the handling deficiencies, which is going sideways all the time, is actually really fun.
I mean, the car is numb as hell.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, again, it's a modern era problem with cars that I don't know. You either accept it or you don't, and you go back to an older car and you're just there forever.
Common question. This is just a common question that's come up a lot. Thoughts on the new V12 Vantage versus the GT4 RS? That one's you. I don't want to be Mr. Biased.
I have no idea about the V12 Vantage. I haven't driven it. I don't even think I know.
Regular Vantage. We drove that versus the GT4 RS.
Oh, because you could option a V12 for that car?
Now you can.
See, I'm a different person, man. I like a GT car. I get why the V12 Vantage would be amazing, and I'm sure it's ridiculous. But I like that nimbleness.
Here it's
that
coming.
fun.
Here it's coming. You're gonna say Porsche, right?
Well, I can't really say, dude. You know, I know that I just based on the car that we drove, the Aston, I did not think it was the greatest thing ever.
The regular Carrera S is better than the $200,000 Vantage we drove.
So is it from a driving
Yes.
perspective? From a looks perspective, and if you option the interior out correctly, the Aston is far superior because it's just
You're a rich asshole when you drive an Aston.
like the 911s are generic as hell. You know what I mean? Like you literally have to option those out to get them to be like somewhat special feeling.
And most people, if you spend $200,000 on a 911 or you spend $100,000, if that bothers you, most people are going to think it's the same car.
Right. No, I agree. That's why I get the whole Aston thing. I do. You can get a way more special feeling car and you add a V12. I guess you just have to buy both. Okay.
Yeah. Good luck. And it's irrelevant. They're only making a couple hundred V12 Vantages.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, because they have what the V12s.
Yeah, laying it over in like some box somewhere. Like, oh man, we have $5 in our development budget.
Some dude got hired. Some intern got hired. He's like, man, we need you to get rid of all this inventory in this warehouse because we're going bankrupt. It's like, what can we do? Oh, I got a special edition. Can we fit it in there?
The one thing I will say about Aston, and this goes back to the my conversation with their engineer. Again, he came from Lotus, so he's like, "Are you people like Aston's got no money?" I'm like, "Dude, I just came from Lotus. Aston's got lots of money."
Yeah.
Where am I going? Kyle Hernandez, thank you for the $10.
Thank you, Kyle.
Any plans on reviewing the four-popper Alfa Romeo Giulia? Everyone says it's the class leader in terms of driving dynamics. You drove it, I didn't.
I did. I had it as a press car, and I didn't release a video on it. Not that there was anything wrong with it. My only problem with the Giulia is its interior space. It's a very small car on the inside, and it's like you think about it. The old Civics used to be really small, and the Accords were like bigger. And then the Accords got bigger; they're like full size. Now the Civics are like Accords. The Giulia feels like an old Civic in terms of interior space and the way that it's laid out. Whereas like some of the other mid-sized cars feel way bigger, and that's the one thing that shocked me about it. If you don't need the space, then it is probably one of the more interesting cars to drive. It fixes the whole thing I complain about with the Stinger, where the Stinger rear-wheel drive was like faux, like fake. It's all neutered. That 2-liter actually felt like you were driving something that was designed to have some fun in.
I will say the one killer for the four-popper. And so I'm supposed to, assuming it happens this summer, as I mentioned, we're supposed to do some Alpha products. I'll ask for a four-popper just to do this. But the one thing that baffles me, and some other journalists said that it wasn't a problem, you can't turn off stability control on the Alpha. And yes, if you're a regular person driving responsibly, you shouldn't turn off stability control anyway. Yeah. But
it still feels rear-wheel drive, though.
Yeah, I know.
Like it still has like good.
But it's a sports sedan. You'd say one day you're going to take it to an autocross or something.
I know.
It's a big deal.
I mean, it is bullshit. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I guess I just completely forget about that car because
no one buys it.
Well, just everybody buys the 3 Series, right? Like if you want a rear-wheel drive car, or you get an IS 500.
Andy the Lab, who still makes great videos, donated $200.
What?
Deb and Joe are very interesting people.
Deb,
you need to feed your dogs and your husband. So
how many dogs? That 200 could have been a nice down payment on a new lab. You could have had, then you could have 3 labs, but that would be a really hard test. Fitting 3 labs in any car.
That'd be pretty amazing, actually.
Like anything, everything would have to be a 3-row.
Well, she should just buy an X7.
Yeah, the funny thing is the X7, and I sent this to Deb, is the X7 is like the identical spec to her XC90. It was like black car with brown interior, and I thought to myself, I'm like, oh, that's kind of creepy. I'm like subconsciously copying her spec of her husband's X7 or XC90.
I can't remember if it's her husband's, because one of them has an RDX.
It was Joe's. Yeah. Like Joe had an XC90, and when I got my XC90, because we had the same car, they're like, dude, why'd you get that? So I broke the mold and dumped it. Now I got an X7. So now you got to copy me and then complain how yours is a total piece of shit.
Yeah, and have yours leak from the sunroof.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's like, if I donate another $200, if you pecked each other on the lips, do it for your OnlyFans. Well, it's too much raw sexual energy for YouTube, Mark. If we made out,
Not $200 for doing that. It's gonna take a lot more money to
yeah,
cross the boundaries like that. I mean, in today's society, though, that might give you a huge bonus to kind of broaden your horizons,
Perfect.
Jack. What if I have my mouth full of like
Cheetos?
No, it would have to be something like what a swordfish. Jack's dinner specialty. But maybe if I had swordfish, he would do it.
So I was having dinner with my family. This is a true story. And I'm like, oh, Mark, my parents just messaged. They wanted to eat dinner. And he's like, oh, what are you guys eating? I'm like, oh, my mother's a chef. She's like, oh, they made swordfish. This guy's just been
where were we at? I was like in a horrible mood, and
yeah, it broke you. You're like, oh, this fucking asshole.
No, it was something you're like, oh no, your dad called. We were in the car, and he didn't know you were on speaker. Well, he's probably assumed you were on speakerphone, and you're like, hey Jack, when are you gonna be home tonight? We got some prime rib. So I was like in a bad mood. I heard that, I just immediately started laughing. Like, this guy's got like fucking 5-star Michelin
family.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh man. Anyway, bromated vegetable oil for $10. That's an amazing name. Agree on the sentiment on unattainable cars. That's most of car YouTube is transformed into stuff you'll never have. It's like a toy unboxing for grown men.
Yeah, it sucks. Yeah. By the way, thank you, and then thank you, Deb and Joe, for the pity donation. Oh, my arm hurts. I need surgery. Can you? I need No, but yes, thank you.
Smiles, whatever his full name was. Look, I'm very sick. I need you to give me your GT3.
He needs more swordfish. Yeah, can you get this guy a GT3 so he can go for his swordfish and prime rib dinner? But yeah, everybody, it doesn't matter. Thank you for 2 cents to whatever you're giving. Appreciate it. And in terms of that comment, that's how I feel doing this now, and it's taken a lot of the piss out of doing these videos. Like, Jack did the Aston, and I was like editing this thing. Somebody's like, well, why does the edit seem different? I'm like, not that it was worse or better, but I was just like, I hate this. I hate this. I hate this whole thing. I hate everything about it. And not that I hate the technology in the cars, but I'm just like, coming from the other side, it's got to be so exhausting to see YouTube or like all these videos about cars that you can't buy, you can't afford, you don't care about in some ways.
But at least we had an engineer. So if you are interested, you can learn about it. You may not be able to buy it, or actually, we have viewers with a ton of means, apparently, and not just the Jerry Seinfeld part, but
well, that's just the Porsche stuff.
Yeah, but
I mean, if
regular
you didn't have Porsche videos,
he wouldn't give 2 shits about what we did.
Exactly.
But we have a lot of viewers, a lot of means, and some of the stuff people buy that watch our stuff is hilarious. But if you're a regular person, like I'm just an engineer and you're an IT guy, if you make reasonable money and you want to learn something about some of these cars, hopefully you learned something from that video, other than it's fast.
Yeah. That's true. That there's truth to that. And I mean, if it didn't have the engineer part,
it would have been a garbage can video.
Yeah, and I was sitting there thinking, like, I asked Jack for the slides because usually the manufacturers have some technical slides, and I'm like, okay, this is going to save the video because I don't have anything, and I get the slides. I'm like, I really have to put these in here, and I don't know, like that's the thing. So if you're going to do an unboxing, like you said, and that's all this shit turns into, I have to put more into it for my own sanity, where somebody could potentially learn, even if it's like one thing you didn't know about it. That's to me how you make some of this more palatable.
Philip, thank you for the $5 donations, and Philip, thank you for all of our interactions.
Thank you, Philip.
Thoughts on the upcoming VW Arteon versus A5 Sportback, spending that $50,000 to $60,000 elsewhere? I don't know anything about the upcoming VW Arteon. Do you?
Oh, well, I talked about the Arteon earlier. So
well, but he said upcoming. He says not new one.
Is there?
I didn't know there was an upcoming one.
Is it a Sportback or something?
Probably.
Obviously, if he's talking about the A5 Sportback, what do they do? Like a Stinger? They rip off the Stinger?
If the Arteon's 50 to 60 grand, I probably wouldn't buy the Arteon. I would buy the Audi, just because I can't imagine spending 60 grand on a VW.
It's probably the same car, isn't it?
No, because the whatever that junk. The Arteon is always front wheel drive based. Remember, because it's built on MQB. or the A5 is rear-wheel drive architecture?
Oh yeah. A5.
All right, there we go. I know nothing about it, but if it's really still that difference, MQB versus rear-wheel drive architecture, buy the Audi.
Audi. Thank you.
I will go back and circle back with you online, good sir.
Yeah, because I don't know anything about the Arteon, so that's really. I'm sorry, I can't answer your question properly.
Grant Shireman, thank you for the $10 donation.
Thank you, Grant.
La Vante for $10. Thank you for the
Levante?
Levante, yeah.
Okay.
For $10. See, I went to Rome, so I'm clearly
Oh yeah, I went
a
to
man
Olive
of the
Garden. I went
people.
to Olive Garden.
Yeah, he was at Olive Garden.
I had breadsticks and minestrone.
How were they? How were they in Italy, Mark?
I mean, the best thing about a chain is the consistency in breadstick delivery.
There was a comment that actually made me laugh like hard. He's like, he's one. It was in the Aston video, and he won. I'm just picturing Mark as Emperor Palpatine going unlimited breadsticks. What are your impressions of FCA now compared to a few years ago?
Oh wow, bro, that's all you. We just talked about this.
Do you see them heading in the right direction? I am currently in college for car design and planning to design for Alpha and Dodge. So I actually had an interesting small world experience with a gentleman today who worked at FCA for 37 years. I turned down or didn't pursue a mechanical engineering automotive job at FCA when I graduated.
At Mopar.
At Mopar. With one of the nicest people I've ever met in this industry. And I did it for personal reasons. But I will tell you, my view of that brand has gone up and down over the years, like a sine wave. Currently, some of their products are really good, way better than they used to be. Something wrong?
No, I'm just waving.
Oh.
I'm waving at myself. I look so good. Somebody said my head's so shiny that it makes them sick and they want to puke.
Perfect.
No, sorry to interrupt.
Hey, a design job is a design job. You can always go somewhere else. That's where I'm going to leave it at that. Some of their products are great. Their move to being French owned from Italian owned, it'll be an interesting couple years to see how things go. But the guy I spoke to said their best experience, and that guy had been there for 37 years, was when they were owned by FCA, when they were Italian owned. Now, he says it's different than it was before. Not better, not worse, is not what I'm saying. He says it's different. So read into that how you will.
And everybody left.
How many viewers do we have?
Oh, no, I'm talking about everybody left. Everybody left at Stellantis. No, once you talked about FCA, people are like, no, this is the best. I'm leaving. Let's talk about numbers. How many people are actually watching?
We're at 1,200.
Yeah. Hey, all right. So you're going to get a coupon code if we can get that number from 1181 to 1,200. So share out this live stream to everybody, guys, and we'll give you 5% off my next, my soup. Well, actually, my leftover soup from Olive Garden.
Yeah, you boxed it up. You put it on the bottom of the plane.
Yeah.
Oh man, getting back to that Aston trip, people are like, oh man, I could be digging ditches. I could be doing an actually dangerous job.
Okay, let's just put this in black and white. Okay, not about anybody's job or what's better or worse. Of course, there's worse jobs.
I traveled 48 hours. I had 3 or 4 connecting flights coming back. I had a red eye there where I had a 10-hour layover to be there for less than 30 hours. And of course, I show up unbelievably jet lagged. He's not here because for some reason they only would send one of us, joking aside. He didn't want to go anyway.
Yeah, right.
But I show up, I'm like, oh man, this would be really good for the business. I get to show OEMs that we can compete on a global scale, blah, blah, blah. I make my business rationale. I show up. I'm exhausted. The flights got all screwed up. They didn't communicate, blah, blah, blah. I show up. I get there in the evening. And then the following day, they're like, hey, you want to do a product presentation? The engineer was sick in the morning. And there was no drive route, nothing. And then it snowed and it rained the same day in this Sardinia, Italy. Beautiful, Italians are nice, but they drive like lunatics in this. Like the DBX, contrary to what Aston says, it's a car for the United States, right?
Yeah.
Or your bigger parts of England. And when you're in the middle of Italy on like really tiny, twisty roads, and the car is wider than the lane, and Italians drive like it's Le Mans all the time. They try to pass you. The speed limit was 50 kilometers an hour. I was doing 150 kilometers an hour, and they were still on my ass in like a 3-cylinder front-wheel drive car. I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do here? Anyway, I don't know where that story was going.
Just like the length of the trip versus the
reward.
So Jack has to do all this exhausted, get there, pretend
do all the B-roll.
Yeah, he's got to shoot all the video now in the rain and the snow, drive the car, and somehow be like, yeah, this is cool. Like, wow, and learn about it. And you have like literally probably 12 hours.
And then the following morning, I left the hotel at 4:00 in the morning. And so in Italy is 7 hours ahead of the United States. I landed after my 4 connecting flights at 6 p.m., which local time for me would have been, I don't know what, 1 o'clock in the morning or something. And I was like, hey, cool.
And then the next day you had to turn around and film some car.
Yeah, it was a good time. Anyway, that was interesting. And nobody watched the video.
But this is the thing, right? Like, so you look at it this way. And this is the thing, like, I can't stand traveling because you literally obliterate 4 days. And unlike a normal job where, okay, you might be getting paid hourly or you might have a decent salary.
If the project does well.
Right. Yeah. So to blow 4 or 5 days of your life to have something make like $300, and I'm not kidding, that's really what it winds up being.
Yeah.
You know, Jack's gone for that amount of time to make $300 back. It's just, it's stupid.
Yeah, it's not a good use of my time. But I got, my 10-hour layover in Rome, I got to walk around Rome. I was like the sweaty tourist walking max speed around Rome.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jimmy, thank you for the $2 donation. Andy the Lab with another $50 donation. You're going to have to feed those dogs. You can't feed them bits of Joe's body.
Joe, yeah, you can't be feeding them human tissue. Those dogs will have to turn into savages. I was mauled by Abby, by the way. Remember when I was there?
That was amazing.
That dog... I had a cut on my leg.
You're weak.
That's when I knew my blood sugar was too high because that thing wouldn't heal. Like, it was the first time I had a serious injury from an animal since I was a child. And this dog just literally clawed up my leg.
This guy's weak. He was like screaming like a little girl next to me. Oh, the labs!
And it was still kind of a puppy. But yeah, like 3 weeks later, I went to the doctor. Like, you're not healing up. What'd you get mauled by? Like some type of small, like, black bear? Like, no, it was a lab. He's like, get the fuck out of my office.
Anyway, she said, I've got the MX-50 and 140K S500 in the driveway, not even the S580. I'm legit digging this non-V8 S-Class. She has an S-Class and a MX-50 in her driveway.
Do you like the cork?
Wait, is the MX-50 the cork car?
Yeah.
Oh, man. This guy was like, oh, God, the cork.
Yeah, and let me tell you, I talked to the materials engineer.
Who then moved to Singer.
She quit after she talked to me. Because I messaged her. I'm like, man, that cork is incredible. She's like, yeah, okay. And then she quit. She's like, I can't take these people that talk to me all the time.
So she moved to a very relevant and attainable brand known as Singer.
Yeah, no, she was cool, but I learned a lot about
material design.
Yeah, the different people that are involved in different things and different companies. Obviously, and the best place to work is Kia. I keep bringing up Kia because all you have to do is choose one material, piano black. Like, hey, you know what look good? All over the door handles, all over everything. Let's put some piano black on there.
Cool.
Oh, leather? No, we don't need leather. I can't wait for them to do piano black seats. Like in the summertime, just getting in.
Well, VW did piano black steering wheel controls. Oh, man. Anyway, Jimmy again, thank you again for your $2 donation. What do you think of the new Mazda CX-60?
Oh, the rear wheel drive one?
Yeah.
Well, we don't have it yet, so I have no idea. I've seen everything you could possibly see, and I've talked to everybody I could talk to.
All I can tell you is Takumis are going to be building it.
They will have, and I don't know if it's coming to America. The sequel is great, by the way. But the CX-60 will have the trim level called Takumi. It's the top trim level. Yes. Yeah, it's the top trim level. So now, if we get it here, it'll be a miracle. But I think it's going to be pretty amazing if they can keep it at a normal price and
Takumi?
not like, the Takumi edition. It's got like real cork and.
So some of the shit we send out to our Mazda things, sadly we can't share them with you guys, but every single time we go to an event, this asshole makes a stupid video making fun of their marketing.
Yeah, they're good sports about it. Obviously, like, we respect them, they respect us. But yeah, I think the first one was the Mazda. No, it wasn't the Mazda 3. What was
the CX-30?
The CX-30. They were just like pounding us with the Japanese stuff. How they had the the S in the body panel that reflects in certain lights. So I did like a video that I sent them that they thought I broke embargo for, and I was calling it the Szechuan S, and like making fun of all their marketing.
I sent them like, oh man, we finished your review, and it was on a YouTube link. And
it was on a YouTube.
I sent it to our buddies there, and it was all the senior leadership in one car. The guy freaked out. He's like, oh fuck, they broke embargo.
Yeah, because if you break that date of like having impressions or whatever beforehand, it's like a huge like shitstorm.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, that's not what it was. It was a joke, which they quietly appreciated.
They're like, fuck these guys, let's invite them back.
I'm sure they didn't appreciate it at all. They're just like, oh man, you're really funny. And then like the door shuts. God, why do we invite these fucking assholes here?
John for $20 Canadian. Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
What's the best car for $40,000 and under that is all-wheel drive? Car. I imagine he's not saying CUV or SUV. What's the best all-wheel drive car for under 40 grand? Well, let me tell you about the Kia Stinger 4-cylinder.
Oh, okay, well, Kia is banned from the rest of the conversation. What's all-wheel drive now? Oh, isn't there some Honda pile? No, the TLX. Is that 40,000?
No, it starts at 40,000.
Okay, you can roll. That would have been good if it was 40,000.
Mazda 3 all-wheel.
Mazda 3 all-wheel is good.
WRX, as ugly as it is all-wheel drive.
Yeah, that's a scummy looking car, but all-wheel drive's good.
Golf R is more than 40 grand Canadian.
Oh, that's too bad, because that would have been a good one too.
Despite the infotainment,
really good one.
Yeah, that car hauls ass.
Put a paper bag over the infotainment.
Yeah, you might as well.
Can you plug into the OBD2 with a phone and then just take over all the controls from there, so you don't have to use the infotainment?
Well, they fired the UX guy. So
is that for sure though, or
yes.
is that like okay?
No, that's enough people have reported on it, and VW hasn't corrected it.
Okay,
but in typical VW fashion, I'm sure they found the one guy who actually probably made the difference and fired him instead.
Yeah, probably.
But
I don't know if all-wheel drive, you have to go to probably
an SUV.
Yeah, at this point, I don't know
what. Or the Mazda.
Is anybody else saying? Can somebody fix us? We're missing something probably.
Brand new car for under 40 grand. That's
Buick Regal GS, but it got discontinued. GR Corolla, yeah, that's a totally.
That thing's gonna be like $900,000.
Yeah, it's gonna be $100,000 Corolla. Kia 5 K5 all-wheel drive. Yes, actually. Well, wait, I said I couldn't say Kia. Isn't there the Sonata all-wheel drive?
Camry all-wheel drive.
Camry, but you're stuck with the 2.5.
No, that's weak, man. God, fuck! I'm trying to think about it. There's no Subaru. Regular Impreza.
What about the Wilderness?
But it's like a CUV.
I give up.
Oh, and his next question is basically stuck with an SUV. And under 40 grand for an SUV, CX-5, RAV4, or
what was the other
CX-50 we just drove? That was pretty good.
What was the other all-wheel drive pile that we just drove SUV that was pretty
Tiguan.
Good? Oh, the Tiguan was actually good.
Yeah, just get a 2019. Get a 2019 without the haptic shit.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, sorry, that's not a car though.
Yeah, but I'm trying to answer. Common question. Dream car, what car comes next? What's your dream car? Doesn't matter what it is, one dream car.
I have to own a 992 GT3. I just have to. I think that's it for me. I honestly, where I'm at right now in my life, I'm so like I'm starting to look down the hill and feel like, oh man, it's not
really own a Chrysler Sebring.
Yeah, now I'm gonna have to lower myself. It's never gonna, honestly, at this point, it's never gonna happen. So that would be a dream car. I guess I could slum it.
Another LC you'll end up buying. I know you.
We were told that it's potential that the last model year LC will get an LCF or an LCF performance. Yeah. And I've said this multiple times. If they do one with coolers, like that's really all.
And that is purely a rumor, not been confirmed by Toyota.
But if they do coolers and they do a real suspension, and I could take it to a track and the car would survive more than 5 minutes, I would really enjoy that car every day. That's, to me, that's my car. What about you?
I'm like you, GT3. Mm-hmm. 991.2 GT3.
Okay.
And then after that, I think if like a realistic dream car, I think an old Ferrari.
Yeah. Like what, 458 or old?
I would love a 458 or like a 360 or something stupid. I wouldn't keep it long, but
yeah.
I'd be in it for so much money and I'd be so terrified, but hopefully I can own it, put some miles on it, and then I'm going to lose money on it, but not lose my ass. But at this point, the only real dream car that is like moderately possible is like a GT3. Other than that, or something like that.
Yeah, I know. It sounds so. It's like you hit that age now where you're like, oh, that's what everybody says.
But
I wish it was more creative. 458 would be really cool. I would definitely rock that car, and I would definitely rock myself right to the way of being
bankrupt,
not being able to pay anything. So it's hard. It's like what somebody said. It's
LFA, the dream car.
Yeah. LFA is a
Ford GT, the good one with the V8, not the 6-cylinder.
Yeah, if you're not really caring about the money part, I mean, the sky's the limit. You could
a T50.
Yeah, T50. Yeah, there you go.
McLaren F1. Like the cars.
T50 would be, even though that's not the prettiest car. I guess the old F1 wasn't really the prettiest car either.
I always tell you this F12 Ferrari, the first of that V12 body style that's now been around for 400 years. There's an amazing video of Chris Harris going, I think I showed that to you. He got sent like 8 sets of, basically my dream. You get sent 8 sets of tires on a track that you can go fully sideways in at high speeds.
That doesn't sound like fun.
Yeah.
I'd just be sitting outside waiting for you to crash. Like one of these days. He's gonna go too
this
far.
guy got ballsy. If any of you watched that Z video, I'm like, all right, people are going to want us to go sideways. I'm like, all right, I'll go sideways. And we shot with telephotos this time, and he's standing in the corner. He's like, Jack, I want you to drive right past me. I was so nervous.
I had trust. I've seen this guy do enough. And that surface that we were on was just like
really grippy.
I've never seen a track with that type of pavement before. It was like somebody literally laid the pavement down and dragged like steel rails through it. It was so thick that you couldn't lose grip. It was fully wet out there.
Yeah, and you could drive like it was dry.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, more questions. Gager66. Mark just got an Element. Mark, you should just buy a Honda Element. Hellcat, swap it and throw some air ride on it. You have an X7 replacement.
Yeah, that's true. I just wouldn't have a Bowers and Wilkins in it. I'll have to add my own.
I'll just UE boom set up for you.
No, I'll just go to the app and just get a couple Bowers center speakers and I'll just reformat the interior.
Watch my dad have a stroke.
Yeah, hey, can you come over and tune it for me?
The DL gave us a $10 Canadian donation.
Thank you.
Stephen Light for $20. Thank you, Stephen, for the $20. Time to pony up and join Patreon as well. It wouldn't be a complete disaster if you guys can't continue. We actually do have a Patreon. We have just been, I keep telling Mark I'm going to redo it and make more tiers. And
I passed it on to him. I'm like, oh, Jack, I really want to redo this. He's like, man, it's easy. I'll take care of it. I'm like, yeah, just don't worry about it.
Chinface and I actually made a Discord and has bots and everything. And I'm so mortified of it actually going online and then it exploding that I'm like.
Now you don't want to do it. It's really not that hard.
I know. It's just, anyway.
It's just, I haven't done it. So it obviously is super hard.
It's my fault. Matthew Atkins for $10. Longtime viewer, and I love your work. I wish I could give more. Matthew, you honestly, dude, you don't have to give any more. Thank you for what you've given so far.
No, thank you. And then some. It's starting to really choke me up, Jack.
Michael for $10 Canadian. Will we see a review on a 3/4 ton diesel? Jack's chest pounding alone would make it epic.
I don't even know what we would do with that.
I would love to. I think Trevor at Ram would give me a power wagon if I asked for one. I just don't know what I would. I would get a porta potty and I would tow that around.
Yeah, that's the thing with some of these beast trucks. It's like that. It's so much work to take them off road or to do something that's relevant.
And there's no real off-roading bias. We have that rally course.
Yeah, but the trucks are so big you can't off-road them. So okay, you're left with these beasts. All you do would tow. And what are we going to tow? You know how much work that would be to go find something to tow? And then what are you going to do? Oh, wow. It doesn't move
I
at
could
all.
find one of the journalists on one of these trips is bragging about his boats.
Oh,
and I could tow their boat around.
You should have got their number. I'm surprised you didn't.
Oh, no. This was at an event, my dream event. And I'm sitting next to the race car driver, some guy who I had been watching since I was 7 years old. It was the most amazing experience of my life, and this asshole shows up late and he has to sit with the journalists.
Oh yeah, I showed up late. I don't even know why. I probably felt sick, and then I come down and then I had to sit at the end of the table where these dudes are just I got to fight. I parked my boat. This guy didn't like where I parked my boat. I wanted to put it in the water, and this guy was just coming at me. I'm like, come at me, bro. And it literally 35 minutes, it's this dude talking about his boat. And the other guy's like, oh man, I got my new Rolex. Oh, that's nice. Where'd you get that Rolex?
Yeah, and I have this smile like I've never had before.
Yeah, Jack's like, what's wrong down there? And I'm just like, I'm going back to my room, bro. I don't care what we're here for. I can't hear this anymore.
God damn, that was pretty.
Well, at least you got some. See, the thing that gives me joy is I hope that if anything, Jack's getting life experience that is irreplaceable.
I've known Mark, man, I've known you now for almost, God, it's what,
17 years.
Yeah, almost 10 years, probably.
Yeah,
eight or 10 years.
Yeah.
And when I first met Mark, I'm like, God, this guy's really cynical. And now I'm like, oh man, Mark was right all along.
I think I was more cynical then than I am now. Now it's just like,
no, now we see the humor in it. Some of the shit's hilarious.
It is. It's funny. It really is funny. It's the people part. It's any industry, any job you get into. There's these different versions of the same story that are in every job. And the people that you interact with.
It's the same characters.
Yeah.
You just move them to something else.
Around.
The people who think they're car Christ.
Yeah.
The weird people.
The business Christ.
Yeah, the guys who yell. My favorites are, so they have these press events and you have this panel. And it's these are senior engineers, VPs of companies, and you are at some schmuck outlet. It doesn't matter. I don't care what outlet you are. Compared to a giant car company, you mean nothing in the grand scheme of things. Yeah. And you're going to yell at the chief engineer and try to belittle them on stage.
Right, yeah,
like, what are you doing?
What was the one we were just at where it was at the Mazda event, and they had all the PR. They had all the director of marketing. They had the engineer there. They had the Japanese engineers there with translators. CX-50.
And some guy's being a dick.
So all these people line up, all the Mazda people line up in the front of the room. And we're in this fancy pants fucking room with special artwork out. They redecorated this whole room to give it this Mazda theme. There's probably like 200,000 worth of marketing stuff that's been printed out, and then you have this room of journalists and these nice cushy chairs that sit back. Questions, anybody? And none of them want anybody to ask questions publicly because it takes up all this time. So we're sitting there, and here we go, this guy behind us. And what was the questions he was asking?
I was like, so you have chassis engineers, and he was asking about why the touch screen wasn't bigger or something. I'm just like. And you could see the face that all these people were just like, I want for either him to drop dead or I want me to drop dead. One of us has to die.
Right. Yeah. So he went on for probably 12 minutes about why the screen wasn't closer, why they didn't have a touch screen, why the screen wasn't bigger.
And it wasn't so much the questions, it was that they were disrespectful in the way they were being asked.
Well, it wasn't. It was just asking questions about something he already knew the answer to.
He just wanted to hear himself talk.
He wanted to hear him talk about how Mazda's infotainment is horrible. It doesn't have a touch screen, and that even Dave Coleman came in and he's like, well, look, he answered it for everybody else because he was getting tired of it. And he's like, well, we know that there's human factors in play, and at Mazda, we've only designed to have 7 things on the screen at any time because the human brain can't remember more than 7 things. So anything more than that can't be on the screen. So we don't need a big screen to show 7 things at a time. If it gave a very matter-of-fact answer, but your screen's smaller than everybody else, then it just went on, and I'm just sitting there. And I had my head down like this because. I'm already wasting 3 days, not wasting, but I'm already here 3 days, and I got to add 2 other videos, and this guy's over here being a dick.
Yep. So we were at Team NA, the Toyota headquarters. He didn't go to this. My favorite story. And there's the VP, one of the VPs of Toyota, and this guy looks like Ted Danson.
Yeah, no, he's a polished Ted Danson.
Yeah, he looks exactly like the guy from Cheers.
No, actually, he's one of the top guys.
Yeah, no, he's big time.
Yeah.
He's like the VP of.
Yeah, he's like direct connect with
Toyota Christ. He's Toyota Christ in America.
Yeah.
And this guy is being a dick to him in a public audience and like, why didn't you do it this way? Like, this guy's the VP of Toyota.
There's like, how many people were there in the audience?
Like over 100 probably.
Okay, so
there's one guy's asking him questions. I'm like, it's like when you're in high school and you're not supposed to ask questions, but you can. He never learned that.
Yeah.
Anyway, or college.
So I just want to put this out here to close this off for the soundbite part. I 100% feel like whenever we're at these trips, and Jack says it all the time to other journalists that don't understand this concept, you are nothing. You are there. You are a fly on a turd at these events compared to these companies. You're one person. You're not special. You're just there as a part of the system.
And don't be a dick to your rep. Yeah.
Don't be an asshole, and don't create a provocative situation like. What did Sean Connery say that? Like about why he hit his wife or whatever because she was creating a provocative situation.
Yeah, you're not gonna get the last. He's like, sometimes they want the last word,
and they want to hit you, but they can't at these events. Just shut up and know your place. That's it.
Yeah, and that's we go into these things like we are nothing because we are nothing.
Yeah,
we're literally like
yeah.
the car nerds who live in their parents' basement.
Right, yeah.
Like we are bottom barrel losers, and that's the way I approach when I ask these questions. Like I'm really sorry, and anyway.
Yeah, there's your inside baseball stories,
and that all came from asking questions about trucks. Fred for $5. Message from Brazil: a used Merc A35 sedan or a new BMW 320i or a Civic Si. I can't tell you about the A35 because I've never driven one.
Yeah, those are dead now, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. But that's why I said used.
Or unless they still have them. He's in Brazil.
Yeah. Used
Civic.
3 Series or Civic Si.
Civic Si. 100% if you can afford it there. I know prices are a little bit skewed.
Yeah, probably.
And
it'll be more fun.
I don't know. The
new 3 Series is good. But it's like the 4-cylinder 3 Series.
I don't have a problem with the 4-cylinder 3 Series. I would still go for the SI. I think it's just a better value. You get more out of it. It's bigger. It has more, it's just comfortable.
When is the next restock for t-shirts?
It's already there. It should be. It should be completely.
If you guys are watching, they're restocked right now.
Yeah. Go to
Car Supplies Warehouse.
CarSuppliesWarehouse.com, or you can go to SavageGeese.com and click on. There's a link that says merch. Wow. And there is a full stock. Oh God, I'm getting sick talking about the merch. There's a full inventory of shirts. Please clear them out.
At 10 o'clock, we're going to stop taking questions because it's already 9:30.
Yeah, it's 9:30 now, and I gotta make lasagna.
I gotta go home and eat swordfish. Rick for $20. Thank you, Rick, for the $20. What do you think of the new refreshed 2022 Silverado 5.3 or the 6.2 liter V8? Will you do a video on that soon? I will do a video on it when we get one in the press fleet. It's weird. We got invited to the new Escalade V thing, and we have a good relationship with our Cadillac rep, and I think we have a good relationship with our Corvette rep. I don't know anyone else at GM because it's a highly siloed company. So we weren't invited to the launch. I don't know anyone who works on the trucks. They just show up when I ask for it.
I need to get it in with whoever's the product manager.
Did you want a Trax?
No, the Trax got killed, remember?
Oh,
they killed off the Trax.
So I went to Disney World, and I stood a test track. And remember, I sent you a photo. I was with my girlfriend. I'm like, holy shit, they have a Trax at Disney World.
Yeah, you're so lucky to be next to that. I want the Equinox rep. I'm like, I want to be on a first name basis like you are with all the reps. And that's the only person I want to talk to.
Like, oh, man, I don't want to talk to Porsche anymore. I want Equinox. I want Equinox Redline.
Yeah, only.
Fun fact, remember that Venza we had as a long-termer? Mm-hmm. Of course, I love it. It's the one press car. I'm like, oh, Mom, Dad, you should buy this thing. You want it, just that's something to drive around. Like, oh, we don't want to buy it because it got in an accident. And of course, it was the Equinox that hit it.
Yeah, they toasted that car for you.
For 10, just laugh and honk your nose for $10. That's an amazing name. This is for you, Mark.
Thank you.
This is before my time. Opinions on the 87-88 Thunderbird Turbo Coupe.
Oh my God.
They're one of the last largely unmolested sleepers left.
Yeah, that was the, do they call it the SC? Was it the Super Coupe?
Yeah, probably.
I'd have to look it up, the 87-80. I'm going to get on my phone to look something up, not to be rude, by the way. I'm going to look up that Thunderbird because I think...
someone asked, why don't we do more live streams? And I will answer that question for you. Because we really do to try to answer every question possible. They take a long time to do. Like this started at 7:30 ish, and it's 9:25, so it's 2 hours answering questions.
The only reason I'm doing it is because I actually finished. I spent the past almost 3 days finishing videos, edits, so I actually have breathing room to do it. Otherwise, it's like
Nah.
I can't be.
He literally edits so I'm filming every single day and trying to get cars and talking to people and trying to make sure the business stays alive. This guy shows up, will film some of the cars, but shows up on camera. He'll learn about the vehicles, he'll drive them, and then when he's not with me on camera, he's editing and I'm filming.
Yeah.
There's
So it's hard. And there's only so much we can actually answer for people. Like you're gonna get bored if we're on here doing this every week. So I try to do it every, month, so we don't overexpose ourselves. What model year was that again?
87 to 88.
Oh man, that wasn't what I thought it was.
He'll get back to you. I'm sure it'll be hilarious. It's from the late 80s and is a Ford. DL for $10.
Oh God, dude, this thing is incredible. I forgot about this.
Was this built on the Fox? This is a Chin question. Chin, answer that because
Look at that.
oh man,
I thought it was I'm thinking of the next gen, which came out in '89.
Yeah,
sorry, man. I never drove this bad boy. I'm gonna put up a picture, and I know this is like a modified version.
now they can Google it themselves.
Yeah, they can Google. I mean,
man,
my camera exposure is horrible. Somebody says my head's too bright, but anyway, just buy it. I'll give you a coupon code for it.
Hey, you can use you can use our Auto Tempest link to buy yourself.
Just use our Auto Tempest link and search all your favorite cars today, not tomorrow.
So we have a business deal with Auto Tempest. They're great. The guy who runs it, Nathan, right?
Yeah,
super nice guy. I think maybe 3 of you have ever used our Auto Tempest link.
So honestly, the link's there because it's easy for me to search the prices that we never talk about that we should. So that link is in every video to show the prices, and I use it now in every description. You want to see what the dealer markups are, and that's what I use it for now, to see how overpriced
how fucked
every
you're getting
car
by
is.
a dealer.
Yeah, it's so sad.
Like the Maverick, that thing for $20,000 to $25,000. That thing would suck at $45,000. You would have to be out of your mind to pay that for, but at the MSRP of $20,000 to $25,000, amazing.
Yeah, the guy had Autobahn. They're like, "Did you really like it, or did you just say you really liked it?" I'm like, "No, for $24,000,
it's amazing.
It's great, but not at $45,000."
You're out of your mind. DL for $10 Canadian. Just wanted to say, I love you guys. Like truly, thank you for all you've been doing over these years. Well, thank you, DL. And we couldn't do this. I said this on Instagram. Nobody follows either of us on Instagram, but it's like the Jerry Seinfeld thing. It means nothing. We'll never talk to the dude. I'm sure he probably doesn't actually even know who we are.
Jack actually just told me today that he sent Jerry Seinfeld a bottle of whiskey.
Yeah.
And a thank you card and a saying how you're the biggest fan. So he just gave you a shout
Ever
out.
Since, what did that talk show he used to do called? Not Comedians and Cars. Anyway, but what I said is we couldn't do any of the stuff we do, get the access to the engineers, learn things about cars without you guys.
Who?
Our
the
viewers.
People that watch?
Yeah. No, Jerry Seinfeld.
These are all bots.
Yeah,
this is
they're
all
bots.
These are all bots.
You're like, Jack, you'll be really cool.
Jack's like, I think we're getting real successful. I had to deep fake Jerry Seinfeld's voice today. I had to fake all these people that are on here just to make you think you're special.
BDP, $10. BDP, thank you for the $10 donation. Oh, it wasn't planned. Congrats on the Seinfeld shout out. Who are some of your favorite automotive YouTubers? We answered that earlier.
Well, summarize it quickly.
So Chris Harris, Henry Catchapole, Throttle House, The Straight Pipes, and then I'm going to throw in one we didn't talk about. Albon. Albon Films is great. That dude puts in, he's like Wikipedia. The dude, puts in Wikipedia. He's like car Wikipedia, basically.
So there's a lot of people that I like. Obviously like Andy.
Andy, Mike.
There's people that I like, and I don't get a chance to watch many of them anymore. And the ones that I do tend to watch more frequently.
I literally forgot. Not that I forgot about Deb. Deb puts a shitload of effort.
Yeah.
She's one person and her husband.
Yeah.
Who put a lot of effort into the B-roll. Like regardless of how
she does it. Like this is why I like her, is because she puts the effort in, and she has a lot of passion for making sure that it's good. And that's kind of where I like watching people that certain things that I cannot do. So like Throttle House is a great example. The 4 of them or 3 of them, whatever.
Is it 5?
5. I don't know how many people they have now, but
500.
Like, when you see stuff that makes you elevate your own abilities, that's what I like. If I like watching Chris Harris stuff, I watch it because I want to learn something.
I
you know what
aspire to be able to slide a car like Chris Harris.
I don't aspire to do that. But
And Neil, his cameraman, is amazing.
yeah, there's stuff like, as a creator or whatever you want to call this, like, you want to watch something where you can gain something.
Yeah,
from
the Fortnite stuff. I know you don't like motorcycles.
Yeah,
that stuff's amazing.
But yeah, Jack showed me Fortnite, and like, obviously I'm not into motorcycles, but man, it's just it's things you would never think of. That's what inspires me.
That revved to 20,000 RPM. That's like my dream with a Honda CBR 250RR from like the early 90s.
Yeah.
Peak motorcycle.
I wish I had more time because I'd watch more people. But yeah, I mirror Jack's opinion on it. And to go one step farther, like for me, like I'm constantly watching things outside of this space.
This guy loves Euphoria.
Yeah, I just finished that show, and I know people are going to hate it, and I get why.
But from a filmmaking perspective,
when you look at it from a filmmaking, editing, audio, storytelling perspective, lighting, like, and I know I keep saying this to people I know, and they're tired of hearing about it, but to have a scene where they're riding their like bikes down a road, like a street in the middle of the night, to physically turn the power grid off behind them in the houses and the street lights, to turn off the background physically, to have them lit center to take the focus on the screen. Like, these are the things that I'm constantly watching and trying to figure out, what are people doing outside of this bubble that we're in? And that's what inspires me to do stuff. And obviously I can't do a lot of that now because all I do is never catch up. And it's hard to get inspired by some pile.
To plug the Z video once again, you had time to do the Z video and the B-roll you shot. It was amazing.
The B-roll's good. The B-roll is good. And I think I'm not going to go back and link it, but when you see the Z video,
find the comments earlier.
Yeah, there's a link I did of just some B-roll pasted together. It's really short, but the overall, like, having the time and the mental energy to be like,
we spent 11 hours at a track. So this was not just us shooting B-roll, just at a track. We spent 11 hours to get 8 minutes of footage.
Yeah, that's crazy. There's a lot that goes into it with 2 people.
Yeah.
Like 2 people filming, like Chris, the moderator.
Everything else.
He's in the background, but I like to be inspired, and when I see something that inspires me, it refuels my creative efforts. And it's hard to find that.
That's why I just watch Glengarry Glen Ross all the time. I get inspired by Alec Baldwin. I'm like, man.
But I mean, it's hard to get inspired in the space that we're in because there's not a lot of people that do video in cars. That's not some big corporate thing. Like the Camisa stuff, like the Haggerty stuff, if that was just Jason Camisa by himself, he wouldn't be doing those productions. But because you have a team and you get with some of these companies, you start to have the ability to grow outside of your own.
It's not that he's incapable of doing it, it's the budget part associated with it.
Yeah, the time and all that.
I spoke to a guy who used to film Ignition episodes. They were like $15,000 to $20,000 in production costs to do one of those episodes. So people are like, oh, why did they go behind a paywall? Why did I do all this stuff? Well, if you look at the numbers side, there's no YouTube video will make that kind of money per video, at least in the automotive space. So you're losing money on every video you make.
Yeah. So you go back to the Motor Trend stuff and more inside baseball, because obviously you're not watching this just to have us answer the same questions. But if you have a budget of $25,000 plus the overhead of your employees, like, it's not just the $25,000 to hire the camera people, the audio, and all the editors. Like, I think back in the day, you had Johnny Lieberman, you had Carlos Lago.
Carlos is an amazing guy.
Yeah,
he's a really sweet guy.
Center dude that doesn't care about fame or like popularity. But then you had Camisa come in, and these productions got out of control to the point where they're spending
they're like American Top Gear, but Top Gear is funded by the BBC.
Yeah, right. So it's different. 30,000, and even if you get 1 million views, you're going to be lucky to make 20, maybe 20,000 over the course of a year on that video.
Just break even on a video, not bring money into your company.
Right,
is just not bad business.
But those types of videos, like Ignition, they didn't know how to balance it out. You didn't need to spend 25,000 to make a great video. You could spend probably $1,000 per video to have something similar, assuming you're not renting out a facility. But they didn't know how to rein in their spending and consolidate. But then again, how do you get the talent to make it unless you're spending money?
But I will say, the Camisa stuff, the Lucid video I watched recently was amazing. I sent it to you. It was really, really well done. I mean, the guy's really, his director, I can't remember his name,
Anthony,
who was at Ignition,
he
was
at
a Motor Trend,
Trend,
yeah. That guy, just purely from an automotive filmmaker perspective,
Right.
he's really, really talented.
But so back to my point.
Yeah.
There's very few people
Who can-
in this space that will inspire you creatively or technically. So my scope of what I really enjoy watching is different than like the regular viewer now. I don't get inspired, so I have to go outside of that to watch different filmmakers and how they do stuff. And
Yeah,
it
because
doesn't.
you and I don't watch any vlog stuff.
No, I don't watch any vlog stuff anymore. Nothing.
Anyway, hand W for $5. Again, another long. We're really doing the like real answers today, but hand W for $5. Thank you guys for your answers. One last question for Jack. Any suggestions for a new motorcycle learner? I'm getting my learners in a couple days. Do every class you can. Don't buy the fastest bike in the world, and be safe. I mean, bikes are really dangerous. I got hit twice. I got in 2 accidents. One was my fault. One definitely was not my fault. Yeah, I love bikes. I mean, I love motorcycles, and I tell Mark all the time, there's like, if you hate what's happening with cars, go ride a bike. But now, because cars are the way they are, it's even more dangerous to drive a bike.
Cars
or ride
are
a bike.
bigger. Everything's
and
heavier.
everyone's distracted.
Yeah, everybody's
and
more distracted.
Yeah,
So you get more enjoyment and the cost is lower, but then you know
die.
your risks are way higher. Yeah.
Common question: favorite racetrack and thoughts on Road America?
Road America is a car killer.
It's
like
amazing,
physically car killer because it's so hard on brakes in the car and curbing and all that. So if you have a street car, great track, hard on cars. Road Atlanta is my favorite.
Yeah, it's mine now too.
For sure, I've always had an affinity to that track, and then you could probably go down the line, the Laguna Secas,
which I haven't driven.
I've never driven it either. But yeah, I mean, just obviously, there's so many sims. There's always been sims with that, and just it's historic. And then there's a lot of small tracks like Lime Rock. The club tracks are really fun.
Monticello is hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many good tracks, but it's tracks. Your opinion of a track changes based on the car you're driving. So Road America is great, and then you go out there in a Miata and you fall asleep. You know what I mean? Like it's too slow. So you have to match the car with the track that you're at.
Yes, you do not want to be doing Road America in a Honda Fit.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you could. It would just take you 5 minutes a lap.
Casimir, thank you for the $20, man. Huge fan. Got a Focus ST1 since new. Now it is 90,000 miles. Some of the inherent deficiencies of the car become apparent driving 25,000 miles a year. Was thinking of the Mazda 3 Turbo would be an adult upgrade. Thoughts?
Oh,
you're gonna be really bored.
You're gonna hate that car if you like the ST. Not saying anything bad about the Mazda particularly, but they're so polar opposite in behavior. Like the Mazda does not rotate at all. Does not have that like
none of the inputs are fast.
Yeah, it's a very slow like touring car feeling or GT style car. But if you're grown up and you're over that,
get a GTI. There you go.
Yeah,
or Golf R.
I guess, but those cars to me are actually probably a really good upgrade to that car. I mean, I guess, yeah. All you'd have to do is spend an hour in a Mazda 3 Turbo to know if you really liked it or not, or if it would suck the soul out of you driving it.
Because the numbers in what it says is a complete difference to the way that car was designed. Mazda's trying to be a luxury brand now. The Mazda 3, the cheap one, the regular one, is the closest you're going to get to a luxury. Well, maybe the new Civic's really nice, but luxury car. The Mazda 3 Turbo was just that car with a turbocharger and all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
The steering's slow. The inputs aren't that fast. It's fast, but the inputs don't match the.
It's a great car if you had to drive it every day. It fixes all the problems you have with the ST, but I'll just say it's an overcorrection to the problem that you have with the ST. It's going the other way.
Jason, the reason I laugh, Jason, thank you for the $5 donation, is when are you guys taking a vacation to Hawaii, Mark? So I'll answer this for Mark because he took.
Don't even get into that.
No. But we did go to Hawaii recently, and it was sort of a vacation. It was to drive classic Porsches. And we were in the island of Kona, and we went during the only tropical storm they've had in like a million years. During that, if you remember the news stories about the state of emergency in Kona, that's when we were there.
Nobody pays attention to that. Let's just put it this way: we're on the dry side of the island. That wasn't dry it was dry the first day we got there when we weren't driving. The rest, it was just like downpour the whole time. So I personally, I don't think I'd go back to Hawaii given the cost. I would go just right back to Cancun on the beach for my spring break with all the college kids. I could sign my Savage Geese T-shirts and tell them all about how great I am at making car videos.
I will say we will release a video on that experience one day. We still have a cup car video that we need to release as well.
Yeah. There's more Porsche videos that I have to spread out over the course of the year because people are so tired of seeing Porsche videos.
Yeah, sorry about that. But I will say, living in the moment, he and I got to drive a 356 Speedster out of the Porsche Museum in Germany, in Hawaii, and that in the basically near the volcanoes. Just the two of us. We held hands for Andy the lab, but it was pretty magical, dude. That was amazing.
Yeah, some of those cars were really cool to get out there.
9146, which was a disaster to drive.
Yeah,
he fell asleep after we went stargazing in a Turbo S. He's like, "Oh,
yeah, I was so trashed, just trashed physically and mentally from all the travel." And then he said he was driving like this Turbo S in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere, going like flat out. And I'm just like, ugh. And I can't sleep in a car ever. But I was just like,
out.
Probably it was the most comfortable car that we'd been in.
Yeah, because you're only in old cars.
Yeah, we were in all the old cars that, exactly what you expect, like vintage Porsches that they're just.
And none of them were 911s. One of them was, but none of them were 911s. And of course, the 944 that was there broke.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we were joking around about it before, and of course, it was the one that was burning or leaking oil when we were driving it. So of course, I felt like the dick. What's the next question? I'm tired of waiting.
No, let me pull it up. Do we have any audio problems? Is anyone complaining about audio problems?
Is somebody?
No.
Okay.
Chin.
Don't scare me, dude. I'm going to check the battery level, by the way, of the receivers.
So 7 hours. There's a little bit of static. Mark, your mic has static. How about mine? Is it good?
Is it better now?
Yeah, it's fixed now, yeah.
It's fixed now? Okay, cool.
All right, back to this.
It wouldn't be a live stream without some audio problems, Jack.
Alphaback Brackley, 1967, who's also a Patreon and a gentleman. Chin moderator, please enjoy 24 ounces of octane for $3.
24 ounces of octane. Yeah.
Derek, for $20. You guys are great. Do you have any thoughts on the 2006 to 2017 Aston Martin V8 Vantage? It's gorgeous.
It's a pretty car.
I have always wanted one. I actually, funnily enough, because we did that Aston trip, I'm like, I'd really like to drive an Aston Martin. I think it'd be amazing because my whatever car doesn't show up.
Yeah.
I looked at Vantage V12s from that era. I would never do it. I was just like, oh, I feel like low 100s. Maybe I could justify this. They're like 250 grand.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. There's one in Chicago for like 225.
I feel like that's a car. That's like a third.
Not the V8.
It's a third or a fourth car, though. Honestly, you're going to keep that. You're not going to put a lot of miles on it, except on the weekend, because just the running cost of that stuff, gearbox wise, it's pretty pricey.
Common questions. How would you spec the WRX if you had one?
Manual.
You don't want a CVT?
Manual without the giant screen in it. That's about it.
Yeah, I would pick a cheap one. That car at like 30 grand makes a lot more sense than at 40.
Yeah, the lower end, because you're not getting a whole lot more when you start spending more. Although having those Recaros, but you only get they're going to have to change that. You can only get the Recaros with the CVT.
They explain to us why, and it doesn't make a lot of sense, but their explanation, and no one says this, they give you an answer. Now it's up to you to determine whether or not that makes sense. The CVT, the one with the adaptive dampers and Recaros, was built specifically to compete against the Golf R, which is the same price and has all of the same features, because no one who bought WRX has bought the expensive ones before.
So that's the straight answer. Nobody spent all the money for the top trim WRX, and that's the reason why the top trim WRX is automatic.
Yes, because those who are going to spend a lot of money on a WRX would either buy an STI, which they're no longer building, or they would just buy a Golf R. But now, because practicality, automatic gearbox, whatever, now you can still buy a WRX with an automatic.
Wow. They're going to have an STI. It's just going to be a Crosstrek or a Forester. Actually, probably people would buy the shit out of that Forester STI, because a lot of people did Forester conversions. Like,
yeah, I remember that. JD and Flip Flops, thank you for the $20.
Thank you.
An amazing name.
Thank you.
In 15 minutes, we will stop taking paid questions. Chin, please let them know, because as is, I'm going to be here till...
Cut them off. Chris, cut him off. No.
Mike, wait. For $10, with all that technology in cars, I'm very happy to stick with my 1970 Volvo 1800E. Man, regular car reviews would really like that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Sport Coupe, my 73 145 wagon, and my recent car. I just picked up a 2005 SC430. Keep up the good work. We were just talking about that.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. It's funny. Yeah, those cars are, I don't know. Like I can't figure out if I love them or I hate them. They've aged better than I thought they would in some
So
ways.
there's a little bit of crackling.
A little bit of crackling?
Yeah.
On which mic?
Which one of us is crackling?
Oh, we should probably. Well, I'll talk first. Is there crackling on my mic?
Hi. No, they say it's from me. Both.
Here, you're sitting on your cable. Can you
No.
pull it up? I don't really know what to do about it. How bad is the crackling?
Some of them are still here, so that's good. All right, we'll go back to this. Jesus Christ, which is an amazing name, gave us $5. Let me see what Chris says. Holy shit, this is a lot of questions. And I promise we are going to answer every single one of these. Chris responded. Yeah, Chris says it's fine. All right. If it's bad, just send your death threats directly to Chris because he says it's fine. Holy shit, we got a lot of questions. Oh wow, sorry. I saw a question for Chris about Panther platforms. Jesus Christ, $5 just to pay for Chris's lunch.
Chris, you got lunch money, buddy.
And thank you, Jesus Christ.
Thank you.
AKA Peaks, thank you for the $10 donation, and thank you for your kind words. This is a common question. Tiguan or CRV?
Current gen?
Yeah.
With what right now, Tiguan, until the CRV gets replaced, because the new CRV will be great.
Damien, for $10, rev up your engine. It's a joke. Isn't that Scotty Kilmer? Scotty Kilmer.
Yeah, me and him had lunch the other day.
Oh, yeah?
He told me how his Toyota MR2 is the best car ever made.
Is it better than a GT3 because it's a Toyota?
No, he told me that the GT3 is only reliable because Toyota looked at it once.
Because Akio Toyota probably owns a GT3 secretly?
Akio Toyota drove it.
Aztec scooters for $20. I have a Ferrari 360, an NA Miata, the last naturally aspirated S63 AMG. I'm looking for a car to replace my S63. I'm leaning towards the IS500. Good choice for a 3-car garage?
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be pretty badass. It's just not, it's not fast. But
yeah, the IS will never break.
And you have a V8.
And and if you get tired of it, which you might, you can flip it. Somebody will pay top dollar for that car. That's the best part about it.
Hold and modify for $20. Not enough for Fox body or Panther body coverage. Look, Chris would have the biggest tent pitched if we did a video on a Panther platform or
just
Fox
all
body.
We did was Panther.
Yeah, that's the Crown Vic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Is something wrong?
No, I'm just looking at the screen like a
zombie,
like a lost.
Common question: thoughts on the new Corvette Z06's 680 horsepower? How do you think it will stack up? How do you think it will stand up?
I don't know. You tell me. You answer it. I don't know. I'm looking at my hairline.
So we're supposed to do a big project with Corvette, assuming that actually happens. We'll tell you after that. But I think the drives are like really late summer. But it's supposed to be a pretty good car. Next question. Tom. Tom gave us $10. Never mind.
Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Tom, tell me about yourself.
Nick Jones for $5. You guys somehow distilled what works about old Top Gear's reviews and improved it. Any piles you really want to review? Well, thank you for the kind words. I think Top Gear, either with Tiff Nadell, that old Top Gear, or Jeremy Clarkson stuff is way better than what we do. But what pile do you want to car do you really want to do video on?
I think we've got a lot of them scheduled right now.
I want to do a Ford GT.
Yeah, I know you want to do a Ford GT. I guess a McLaren F1, the NSXs, the original ones, and somebody commented, I can't remember where it was recently. Oh, it was on a live chat for one of the videos. Like, oh, the NSX is played out don't do videos on that. I'm like,
but it's for us.
yeah, it is. It really is. It winds up being the storytelling part. I think, yeah, that's about it. The Gordon Murray car, I would love to do that on that car.
We're doing something on a Mira.
Yeah, Mira.
Maybe, assuming, hopefully. I'd love to do an ACR Viper, like the last gen ACR Viper.
They killed it. I don't know. It's hard. I have to. I don't.
I would love to do a DeLorean video.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Testarossa, Countach.
Once you get the core ones done that you want to get done, then you make this wish list. And I haven't gone that far.
I have now asked everyone in the world, because the last 2 owners have backed out. They've just disappeared off the face of the earth. If you are in Chicago and you have a stock C6 Z06, please reach out to us. And you are okay with the car going to Autobahn, you can hang out with us the whole time and see how boring a shoot is with us. But enough people have asked, I really want to do a video on that car. And he can hate it because it's a Corvette.
It's a Corvette. I'll wear my pager. That's how you'll have to get a hold of me the whole day. Like, Mark, where's the camera? Just gotta page me, bro.
Puzzled Bunny. Wow, Puzzled Bunny. Thank you very much for the $150 donation.
What's happening here? Is that $150 or is that $1.50?
I hope it's $1.50. But if it's $150,
doesn't matter. Like we said,
thank you very much.
Money's no object with Jack. He's gonna get a swordfish dinner regardless of this.
Hey, love what you guys do. Keep up that awesome work. I have a 2019 Jetta R-Line and consider trading in for a new GLI or GTI. What's your suggestion, or maybe something else? GTI.
GLI is so generic. I don't know why, but it is. There's nothing.
Well, it's the old version of MQB, first off.
Yeah. It doesn't. There's nothing wrong with it. There's just nothing right about it. It's like going to Applebee's.
Saying you have to tune the car to make it fun is not a good excuse.
No. It's just it's forgettable. Let's just put it that way.
The new GTI, if you get the base model, it has a regular infotainment.
Right.
I would just get that one.
I like how you do that. Oh, it's got regular infotainment.
Yeah, the dials.
Yeah, it's got this regular infotainment. You're gonna get your cane next.
It's because it have a port for my auxiliary connector.
My girlfriend, who's has the most unfortunate name in the world currently, her name is Karen. She gives me a hard time since I can't remember what videos, like, shut up, it rides well, you need to get your walker. I can't remember what video you told me I need to get a walker, and she always brings it up now.
Really? Well, I don't remember what car. I said it rode well, or you?
No, you said it rode fine. I'm like, this thing rides like shit. It was a Civic. You're like, you need it because in the middle of winter, the dampers weren't working right.
Yeah,
I'm like, it doesn't ride that well. I was like, oh, you know what you're talking about. You need to get your walker.
Yeah, see, this dude, like, his perspective now, I think, is more skewed than mine. Like, we have that $210,000 Taycan, whatever,
Cross
turbo.
I'm like,
whatever.
It rides pretty well.
Yeah, of course it rides well, as it should. And then you get into a normal car that people can afford, and you're like, oh man, these dampers. And the dampers are like $100 a piece, not like $15,000
no,
a piece.
The Civic, they're like $10.
Yeah, well, still, I mean, what do you expect?
All right. Anyway, get the GTI, get a cheaper one. You'll be happy. And again, thank you for the $150 donation.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Get a manual. Don't get the DSG.
Who's messaging me?
I don't know. Probably your family saying that you need to stop doing live chats.
They're like, hey, you're embarrassing us.
Photos for $10. Should I sell my new Civic hatch? Maybe I can get pretty close to what I paid for it, and maybe get an Integra. I just can't. So say you wanted a manual Integra. Good luck with the dealer markups. You got a lot of money for your Civic. I think you're going to get screwed.
If this was a couple of years ago, we'd be having this conversation where you just go to the dealership and buy it. Now everything is like there's all these stumbling blocks to getting a car.
If you can get a Civic, an Integra with a manual, if you want one, for sticker, and you can get a lot of money for your Civic, go ahead.
All right. I agree with that.
R London for $20. Thank you for your $20.
Thank you.
Is it game over for Infinity?
Yes. Okay. I hope I'm wrong, but yes. I think it's been game over for Infinity for like 10 years.
Forgetful Foot for $5. Any ETA on a 987.2 Cayman Boxster video? Yes. One of the guys from Chicago Auto Pros, one of the owners, is going to give us a car whenever our schedule works. He's probably going to be checked the fuck out for that, but he's like, whoa.
As soon as you said 9.8 something, I was just like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Thoughts on the New York Auto Show? That's a general question.
I haven't even. I know what's going on, but that's as much as I know. I know they did a oh, I can't say Kia again. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly, I don't even know what's being unveiled or released there. I'm like in my bubble of like sitting behind my computer trying to get videos out.
Free Steve for $5. What do you think about the CA manual transmission?
See what?
CA. It's what's in the 2008 A4 Avant.
I don't know. Honestly, I can't answer that.
So this guy, Free Steve for $5, asking, should he buy a 2008 A4 2-liter Avant Quattro with 176,000 miles for $8,000?
I wish I had Britt because he's like,
so there's a guy named Britt. Again, if you watch the very beginning of this, somehow if you've been here for 2.5 hours, Britt Casey's the IMSA driver, GT4 driver, TCR driver.
Yeah, he's going to be in our videos.
He's going to be in our videos coming up as like an actually faced race car driver. He loves Audis.
Who's not a douche.
Who's not a douche. He's just a normal, nice guy. His brother's in the special forces. Anyway, really nice guy.
Are you going to talk about his favorite color?
His favorite color. Anyway, he was asking about the A4 to drive specifically in California. It's a great car. The fact that it's a manual gearbox shouldn't be a problem in California. Just hopefully it's reliable for you.
I honestly, I can't even answer it. I'm sorry.
We had a friend in college that generation A4. It's a totally great car. They just got.
I don't know how the clutch take up. Is it like a heavy clutch or something?
No, it's like every other VW.
Oh, okay. All right. I mean, if you can drive a manual car, I mean, if it's got a normal clutch, then you're just gonna have to deal with a lot of legwork. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, sure.
Sam Foster for $5. Test drove a new Mazda 3 Turbo and loved it. Commute is all highway, don't need a manual. Drove the Civic, but markup. Should I test anything else?
In that range? I would almost say Corolla, but I don't think you'd like it after driving those two.
I get the Mazda 3.
What's the other pile that just came out that's good, that competes with the Mazda 3? Oh, the new GTI. Yeah, drive the new GTI just for the hell of it, because those are three that are really good, solid cars.
Jared for $5. What's your opinion on DI versus combined port and direct injection on the perspective of carbon buildup?
Both is better if the company does it right. I mean, you could have both, and then you have injector problems. Like Hyundai has their Smart Streams that has dual injection, and they have not been out long enough to really figure out, are they going to have problems with DI pumps or injectors failing? Because then you negate the whole purpose of what's a carbon buildup cleanup cost. $350, $400 versus doing $250 injectors or something. Toyota's been doing it the longest. If it's that, then I wouldn't even worry about it.
Troy for $2. Which German brand do you like best? That one's easy. You, Mark.
I don't know. I guess when you look at it from a real focus perspective, Porsche makes amazing cars, but they're so like
irrelevant.
They're irrelevant to 99% of the people. I have a lot more respect for BMW's like drivetrain engineers, but like they've broken themselves in terms of styling recently. Like all that crap now is trash. They have great electronics. So I would say Porsche, BMW, and then I do really like Audis. I guess there's nothing I would buy from them right now.
Yeah, basically.
What else? Am I missing something?
I wouldn't buy any of the new Mercedes.
Yeah, I'm totally Mercedes at the bottom of the list right now for me.
Audi makes some really nice stuff. We're gonna do an RS e-tron or an e-tron coming up. And
those cars look nice, man.
But for me, it's BMW and Porsche.
Yeah.
Just laugh and honk your nose. Thank you again for another donation. For my 27th birthday, I've been gifted a receding hairline. How do I carry a legendary drip like Mark, despite the fact I will soon look twice my age?
Yeah, that's shitty when you're in your 20s and you lose your hair. I had friends that were losing their hair in their 20s, and I'm like, oh man, it's not a big deal. And now that I lost my hair in my late or 30s, I was like, it is a big deal. But what are you going to do about it? I mean, it's like there's worse things. It's not like you have Well, that's okay. I'm just telling you that to make it sound better than it is. It's like this. It's a part of you. You're like, it's a part of your personality, your hair, and people. You look weird with a shiny, bright ass head. I mean, it's weird. You instantly look older, but there's so many people that have that issue.
Well,
That's
happy
like-
27th, sir.
Yeah, dude. I'm sorry you're losing your hair. If I had hair to give you, I would donate it. But just own it. Become a good, be a good person, and people will look right past your hairline and right in your eyes and think, man, this guy is just tremendous.
If your birthday was today or yesterday, we can twin. For
Yeah.
birthdays, we're both April birthdays.
Oh, this dude's birthday's coming up.
yeah,
Like overnight at midnight, actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn
Okay.
39.
This is why I just did this live stream, is so I can elicit happy birthdays, because nobody Jack's like last year, nobody wished me a happy birthday, and he's crying. So
Yeah, well,
tomorrow, it's real. Truthfully, tonight at midnight,
I am turning 27.
He's turning 27.
Anyway,
or 37.
Yeah,
or whatever.
37. Sorry, no, 47.
40. Yeah,
Yeah.
people think he's 47.
Agent 9 for $5. Any excitement on the new Nissan Z? I know you didn't like the last Z. Really, the steering wasn't your favorite, but do you know how the 400 horsepower? But I know how much you like a 400 horsepower. 400 horsepower. Jesus Christ, 400 horsepower power slide.
The car is going to really, really ignite new passion for people in this segment.
I can't tell you how it drives. This industry is very odd about driving embargoes and impressions, but do the math. It's around $40,000-ish, 400 horsepower, rear-wheel drive, double wishbone car with a manual gearbox and a real rear diff now.
Sounds good. I can't wait to drive
I can't
it.
wait to drive it, Mark.
You're gonna like, if you're a Z fan, there's no question. This is
And we drove them both back to back.
yeah.
on the track.
We drove them both back to back, so it's something to be excited about. Let's just put it that way.
Rob, thank you for the $20 donation. Kashif Ali, thank you for the $5 donation. Thank you for blending the balanced design commentary with tech and maintaining context with regards to the segment. Any thoughts on the current generation? I think it's the current generation 230i versus the ND2. Would you buy a 2 Series, a rear-wheel drive 4-cylinder 2 Series, or an ND2?
Ooh.
The 2 Series we just drove, but ignore the all-wheel drive.
I mean, if I had to have a car I drive every day, it would be
The
the
2
BMW.
Series,
I
yeah.
mean, we say this all the time. The ND is a second car. I mean, there's just no way around it. It's so small. There's no storage. There's
It's
no
terrible on the
backseat.
highway.
It's got shitty like ergonomics and well, not shitty ergonomics, but it doesn't have good like things for daily use. Like putting things in it, like a cup, becomes a nightmare. There's no storage in the door. So BMW daily, second car, Mazda.
Matthew M for $20. Thank you very much for your dedication and attention to detail. It's a labor of love. I'm encouraging you to keep on bucking the corporate ladder life. Well, thank you, Matthew.
Thanks. I'll try to remind myself of
When
that.
I get my corporate parachute for 10 or
wait,
$15 million
when I get poached from Suzuki.
to design the new Kishkash or whatever it was called.
No, you mean the Kazashi or Kasashi? Kishkash. Yeah, you're gonna reboot it.
Albon. Oh, Albon.
Albon, bro.
Albon.
You're lucky you didn't say talk trash. Albon wants to do a Supra, not the new one.
No, Mark, I'm going to make it happen. A Albon Savage Geese. Oh, what the fuck did I drop? An Albon Savage Geese video on the prior generation Supra. Albon will tell the story.
The Toyota Supra.
Yes, the one that everybody thinks is amazing, the Mark IV. Albon will tell the story. We'll put it on the lift, and then I will try to slide it around Autobahn, and we'll do a video together. And then we could do like a high five ending where we all jump up and high five at the end.
Yeah, slow motion high five, and then we'll lift weights in the back of us or in a semi truck, like over the top.
Man,
we can have an arm wrestling scene.
Over the top is amazing.
I shouldn't talk about my creative desires because somebody's going to copy it, and then I'm going to see an arm wrestling scene in a car video.
Are you going to do the thing where you win back your son's love through arm wrestling, like an over the top?
Pretty much. I'm going to go straight to the top. And when I flip the switch and I crack somebody's arm like Jeff Goldblum in The Fly, there's an arm wrestling scene in The Fly. If you go on YouTube and just type in Jeff Goldblum, The Fly arm wrestle, that's all you need to see for tonight.
Albon said, I can't afford more than shitbox Toyotas, but I will watch all your videos about all these bullion boats. That's what we.
The bullion
But
boats.
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Technical details of expensive cars are often fascinating, even if nobody actually cares. I can't wait for B Movie 2.
Oh man, B movie too. Yeah, that's gonna be good. Yeah. So
Are you ready to cameo in B Movie 2?
I'm getting so many offers from Hollywood now because they're like, man, this guy looks good. He's got the physique. He's got just so much charisma. No, just to go back to what he said about these bullion boats. I do really like. I said this in the S or the Maybach. Like, really, this is the stuff you're going to see in future cars. So in a way, you're learning about the stuff that's coming out. So it's helpful to understand that. And everything else, if you don't care about it, at least you can learn something from it.
Rob, thank you for the $2 donation. Tony, thank you for the $5 donation. Joseph John, thank you for the $5 donation. Quietest cabin for a mainstream 6 or 7 seater that's been tested. Got another baby on the way. Oh wow.
QV80.
Speed not a priority, non-minivan. QV80. Is that really a 3-row?
I don't know.
Q7. That's a 3-row and it's dead quiet.
Yeah. That the X7.
But it's not mainstream.
Oh yeah.
It's Telluride?
Telluride's pretty quiet.
I
mean, quiet for what it is.
Basically, really quiet. You got to go to luxury.
Yeah. That's
Highlanders.
true. MDX is pretty quiet.
Yeah, and that's sort of mainstream.
Yeah.
The third row kind of sucks.
I mean, the new, probably, if you wait, depends on how long you want to wait. But some of the update, the CX5 is quieter than it used to be.
But it's not a 3-row.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
New Suburban, as much as I hate to recommend a GM pile.
It's quiet.
The Tahoe Suburban's quiet.
That's huge, though, man. That's
He's
like...
3-row, 6 or 7 seater.
Okay. I'm sure.
Ford Explorer, that's quiet.
The XC90 is pretty quiet too.
Yeah. Hey, there's a great, if you want to buy his XC90.
Yeah, it's still for sale. The dealership's driving it around everywhere. But yeah, this is the coolest thing too. And not to throw them under the bus, but another thing in technology, they don't clear any of your private data or any of your data out of the car. So I literally can still see tracking data, where the car's at, who's using it, all that stuff, because dealerships don't care about any of that. So that's another thing. If you sell a car that has telematics, tracking,
delete everything.
They'll
find out how many times you went to Arby's otherwise.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is for him is all the time. Sevodoc, thank you for your $200 donation.
My God.
I wish maybe we missed your question, but
did we?
No, I don't think we did.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Again, thank you to everyone.
Michael C, thank you for your $10 donation. Love your work. Love the GT3 video. Top quality, really detailed. Gave me some real appreciation for the .1 versus the .2 sound differences.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they really do sound very different. Go watch the video if you like Porsches.
Yeah, you just go watch our videos, Zach. It's great videos, some great stuff in there.
Create some bots for us.
Yeah, just
they watch every ad.
Oh, what's this one? Oh, thanks. This is Bobby Rothschild. He's donated $65,000.
Perfect.
Thank you, Bobby. We'll see you at the new Firefest we're kicking off next week.
Okay, keep going with the questions. Goth Rocker 7 for $20. Love the channel. Will always be a patron. Thank you, Goth Rocker.
Thank you.
Hope you guys keep it going. Mark, compare the V6 Singer to the 4-cylinder turbo. The V6 seems more fun to me. I do not own one, but I've always liked the V6.
The V6 is just, it feels like a totally different car. And it's partly because of the transmission tuning and the way that they set up the traction stability control system. It's completely different. It goes from a car that feels like a shitty, like, half effort to something that feels like it's mostly realized. This guy doesn't remember any of these cars. It's like
the shitty part about that Stinger is all I remember is this one. We had the McLaren 570S.
Yeah. They had the 570S at the same time as the Stinger, and you get out of the 570 and you get back into the Stinger. You're like, whoa, this thing sucks. No, and it wasn't just that. I mean, they promised.
Oh, and we had the Trackhawk too.
We had the Trackhawk, but honestly, I love the G80 and I love the G70. So they're like same platform. They were comparing it to this, like, this is the next best thing. And you get out of those, the Genesis to the Stinger, and you're like, what happened here? And that's just been my overall feeling. But yes, there's a big difference between the V6. It's a much better car to drive and enjoy than the 4-popper, obviously, as it should be.
Annie Mr. Mandhar, I apologize. I screwed up your first name. Thank you for the $5 donations.
Thank you.
Please help me choose between the F82 M4, the Alpha Giulia QV, so quadrifolio,
Mhm.
and a new Supra.
Oh man. I just talked to some dude that bought a QV or a quadrifolia Giulia because of the video I did with Scott a long time ago.
Is it broken already?
No, he said it's been the most amazing car. He never regretted it. Obviously, he knew deficiencies with it. The most character is the Giulia, 100%. It's a special car. If you just want to go fast and obliterate a lot of cars with minimal work, the Supra is incredible, but you trade off like usability, and the interior and visibility is horrible. And then the F82, is it the G82 or F82?
F80. This is the F80, but the two-door.
I mean, it's a very, very fast BMW that has not a lot of connection going on, but
It drives well.
it drives well.
Great engine.
So in character, Giulia, Supra, BMW last. In terms of performance and everything it does, pretty much flip that. I don't know. That's a tough choice. It really depends on how risky you want to get with a Giulia.
Dirt Foo, thank you for your 500 ARS. I appreciate your
Is
donation.
that Bitcoin?
I hope so.
I should know currency with those types of details, but I don't. So, but thank you.
Mariano, thank you for your $25 Canadian.
Thank you.
A generic account, thank you for your $13.99 Canadian.
Thank you very much.
Speaking of looking downhill, getting old, got too old to put up with my Fiesta ST. Found one of those few 2013 Fusions with a manual and an EcoBoost. Holy shit. I have no idea that was something.
That was before my time, sir.
ARS is in Argentinian pesos.
Oh, so they had a manual there?
No, that was the 500
okay.
that you're wondering what the currency was.
I thought like a Fusion manual. It was a Fusion or manual?
Yeah, you got a Fusion manual 2013 with an
the
EcoBoost.
Fusion is that a Mondeo?
Yeah, it is. Man, I didn't even know they sold them as a manual.
That had to have been
five
of those sold.
Yeah, in like 20 years, you can put that on BAT for like $900,000.
Somebody like, oh man, that's Ford's golden age. Gotta get it. Interesting choice, but yeah, I get why you got dumped that Fiesta ST. I mean,
that's hard on you.
The great car, second car. After you cross over like 27 and a half, you're like, oh man, my back.
That's how I feel already. Ariel for $20. We watch you guys way too much. GX 460 or 4Runner Off-Road Premium with KDSS.
4Runner Off-Road Premium with KDSS.
Over the GX 460?
Yes.
Why?
Because it feels like it's not trying too hard. It just feels like a traditional Toyota product that's not trying to pretend it's a luxury car. Any of those Lexus trucks, as I'm finding, is not really...
But that old GX is a V8.
I know, but still.
Yeah, I'd probably still get the 4Runner too. I agree with you.
I think it's just it's more legit cool truck thing.
Yeah, I tend to agree. That the V6 is so anemic, but...
Do you need it?
No, yeah.
I mean, the V8 sounds good, but it's not. It's just making noise.
Yeah, it's not very fast either. And will probably cost you more to run. Well, thank you for the $20.
Yeah, thank you.
Hopefully that helps.
Not really helped. I didn't really give a really great reason.
I would get the 4Runner too. I think the running costs will be lower. She says my boyfriend thinks it's a better deal. He's probably not wrong. And the 4Runner, you can get a new one today, and maybe you're not getting a new one today.
You put that thing on a forum, and somebody will buy it from you the same day you put it up.
Pretty much, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Some more Dirt Foo, some more Argentinian pesos. Thank you for your. Hey, Mark and Jack. Greetings from Argentina. What percentage of your viewers live outside of North America?
I'll tell you right now. Just give me a second. You can go to the next question.
Done well for $5. Favorite fun SUV crossover for daily. Examples: V8 Durango, Explorer ST, X5, blah, blah, blah. Well, this is going to sound stupid, but the best small SUV I've ever driven is the Macan. The GTS or the S. That's the best driving one, but that's a lot of fucking money. The GV70, the new one, drives really, really well. Doesn't drive as well as the Macan. I don't care what anyone says. The X3 drives really well. It just drives like an X5. And the X5 drives great. What do you... SQ5 too. It's a discount Macan.
Yeah, dude, this is high performance.
He just said SUVs. He gave like V8 Durango, an Explorer ST, and an X5.
Oh, yeah.
Not V8, sorry. Favorite fun SUVs, crossovers.
Yeah, you'd have to go to the Germans, do the best job at it. The QV, the Genesis they're more they're luxury GT style.
Yeah.
They're not, they don't like drive great, like handling and all that was. So I'd say BMW first, Audi second,
Mhm.
and then
Porsche if you have a lot of
Porsche
money.
first. But you know you're getting to crazy levels of price. So the top geographies at the lifetime of doing this, 58% of the viewers are in the U.S. 10.7% are Canada, 3% are Australia, 3% are in the United Kingdom, and 1.4% are in Germany. Everything else I can't see,
Okay.
just so you know. It could be everything else is like in the 1% or less.
Mariano for $20 Canadian. I feel self-driving assists are getting glossed over too quickly in otherwise baseline reviews of cars, just meant to get you from A to B. Could there be more room for a larger segment on this in videos? He wants for us to talk more about the self-driving assists. Yeah.
In the cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I honestly, I don't touch on it because it's so the depth in which that you would have to go to cover it properly. You would need like real testing. I'm
Mhm.
talking about shutting down like a section of highway or road or like coning things off to test all that stuff.
I don't feel particularly comfortable using a lot of the self-driving shit too, to be honest.
I don't either. I like to test it in my own cars. Like I'll really lean on it, but when we're out, it's hard for us to go on the highway and get in rush hour traffic and do all the things like nighttime driving. Rural roads are different with ADAS and all that stuff with lane keep assists versus it's harder than it is on like the highway with lines and all that crap. But we do need to do a better job. To answer your question, we don't do a good job on it, and we need to do a better job on it.
Mr. M Viper 13, I have thank you for your $10 donation. I have a GR86 coming and a 21 Crosstrek, both manuals. Should I sell the Crosstrek or keep it for utility? Money isn't a major factor in my decision. I have access to a RAV4 if I need it.
If you already have access to a RAV4,
I'd get rid of the Crosstrek.
Yeah, I don't understand. They're two duplicates, redundant.
Yeah, just the GR86 is rural drive and he doesn't have back seats.
Right.
Yeah. It has them, but you're not going to put anyone you like back there. Eric, hey guys, love the channel. Any plans to review an 8th gen SI? Yes, we are. We are doing a Mugen 8th gen SI coming from Japan.
That's not even the Mugen one. That's not the Mugen one.
Yeah, it is. That's the one that's like $125,000.
What's it called though? It's not called that.
I don't remember. It's like
It's the 8th gen that was the most like ridiculous one in Japan only.
And we're getting to do a video on one.
Yeah, they're shipping it from Mugen Japan to King Motorsports for us to do a video on it, but it's like
it's a 6-figure 8th gen SI.
Yeah.
So for like the 3 people, yeah, Mugen RR.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
So yes. Yeah, we're getting to do a video on one. You can thank Scott. That guy's amazing. Nathan for $40. Nathan, thank you for the $40. This channel has the best content. Your work makes me feel a tiny bit acknowledged This work makes me feel a little bit knowledgeable when I couldn't come close to a wrench in my life. Settle a bet. Mid-spec, Expedition, or Aviator? Aviator.
100%. It's just, you can tell like this is the thing between Lincoln and some of the Ford products that we've seen.
More effort.
There's more effort put into them, like in detail, like attention to detail, like mechanically, tuning, electronics. They have more money to do it because they have to. So I think that's why they're so separated that way.
Levante, do you still review viewer cars? I have a clean Saab 9.5 Aero X wheel drive. I'd love to see a proper video on a Saab review. The problem with viewer cars, we'd still take them. It's just that we're actually doing a Ferrari 360 from Patreon, and actually one of our friends who has that in a GTS. We love viewer cars. It's just, you have to get out here. We can't travel because the schedule is all messed up most of the time. And, it's the liability associated with it. You have to be okay without going with your car for like 3 to 4 days.
Right. For us to do it, we actually, at this point in time, it's not that we don't want to. It's just you really have to leave the car with us because that car is not the only car we're going to have at the same time. And to go through the process of filming it and all that, we can't be like back and forth. And that's the only reason we're not doing it as many.
Like we're doing a Taycan from Gibran, who has every Porsche in the world.
Yeah, he's got like 5 cars.
Yeah,
he doesn't care.
He's just dropping off his Taycan rear-wheel drive for us to shoot a video on. So
yeah, it sounds really douchey, but that's just the reality. It has nothing more to do than in trying to manage workload. If we have 3 cars in a week, I can barely. I can basically, that's a set. If I have 3 cars in a week, I'm working 7 days during the week without a day off. So to drop a viewer car in there, it's really hard.
Yeah, sorry. Mikey J, is there any Audi TT you drive?
I think the current gen
Looks
is
pretty good.
legit.
Yeah.
You know, when they originally came out, you know, they screwed themselves with making it so nerf, because that came out, that was that S2000 competition, like 350Z, all those cars, RX-8, and like Audi's like, oh, we got a TT, it's cool, and then just, you know, that was
Mikey, thank you for your $5
anyway.
donation. The TTRS is badass too.
Yeah.
Noah Kim, fellow Korean man, I guess. Thank you for your $20 donations. How do y'all think about the future of Toyota as a car company? Aren't they a little behind the game in EVs? I'm kind of anti-EV, and I'm really worried about my favorite manufacturer.
Toyota is, and this is what they've told us directly, is they are not on the bleeding edge on purpose. They're not a company that chases trends. So they are typically going to go the more conservative route in choosing paths that are more towards that way. So one of the reasons why they didn't choose EV is they didn't feel they could get the battery supply to do mass production of EVs. So they went the hybrid route. So it's that conservative, like, let's get to the next point using existing technology and blending it together versus jumping all in on something else. The problem is, as you found out, Akio Toyoda has a lot of interest in hydrogen, and those interests in hydrogen dictated his choice in delaying on EV more and pushing more towards hydrogen. So now,
Yeah, his buddy's own hydrogen car company, hydrogen.
Yeah, infrastructure. You know, of that technology, that's where their money was going. But now he's had to respond in a way because of the pressure of every other company saying they're going to do it, versus actually doing it. Now he's basically like, okay, let's get a plan together. They've had this plan together, and now they're doing like, okay, we're going to do all these cars to shut people up. They're on the bandwagon now, and they're committing billions of dollars to making EVs. I don't know where that's going to take them and how good they're going to be or how bad, but honestly, I think this is what you're going to see with every company, and I think that they have to do EV to stay relevant, and that's just it.
Sam B. Hey guys, 3 months ago I sold my thank you Sammy B for your $20. I sold my 4C to get a 981 Cayman S. I do miss the rawness of the 4C. It felt so special. The Porsche is a much better car. I'm thinking of getting a GT4 or a Mira. Would that fix my itch? What should he buy, GT4 or a Mira?
I don't know about the Amira. I told James from Throttle House, I'm like, don't buy the first one. Just don't.
Like, yeah, look at what happened to the Evora guys. They got fucked.
Yeah, just don't do it. So, you know, get a GT4, enjoy that, and flip it, because you'll be able to flip it without a loss, and let Lotus figure out the 500 different problems they have after the first 3 years of production. I'm sure it'll be just as good, if not better, than the Evora, but that's my opinion on it.
One RF Sam for $10. Thank you for your $10 donation. No Sugar Daddy for $50. Keep up the good fight. Here's my request for a BMW 128i video. I know Mr. Goose hates the look, but talk about obtainable, at least one of the few analog cars left. They're so underrated. Thanks for the laughs. Cheers. Well, if we get one as a viewer car, or maybe we'll do something with the EAG in the future. Yeah, I have no problem doing a lot of these older viewer cars. It's just getting them.
I have to shut my mouth with some of the looks of this stuff. Honestly, I mean, I get what you're saying, and I understand the fact that some of these cars like that, when it came out, putting it in perspective, it was like the Nerf BMW, and that's how I looked at it. It's like, why would you get that? But now, in retrospect, when you don't have some of these affordable, fun to drive cars, you can sacrifice some of the things like, okay, it's not the most attractive looking BMW they've ever made, but compared to what they're releasing right now with these iX piles,
it looks amazing.
It's like, oh man. So, perspective changes, our opinions change, and I would definitely do it, and I would have a different attitude about it, I think.
Jova R for $5. Why don't automakers threaten the supply of cars if dealers are marking them up? It would curb the problem if there are consequences. Some OEMs do, but I also think OEMs are in this weird place, and I've talked to a bunch of reps where there are a lot of legal protections from dealers, at least in the US, from OEMs. And on top of that, they need the dealers to sell their cars.
Right.
So they're in this, They're in this weird
The
spot.
dealers are spending a cajillion dollars to have their products. They're fronting a lot of money and overhead in service centers. They have to be luxury experiences. They have to have a ton of head count. So they know that, and the brands are not completely subsidizing a lot of these places. So they have the right to mark up these cars so they can make money, and that's the way the system is. And where it goes is shit rolls downhill, and the customers pay for that. You know, you want a fancy, great experience at a dealership, you're going to go in and pay markups when, you know, you shouldn't be, and it sucks. There should be reform. It should be fixed, but it's a problem with our country and the way that this entire system's set up.
They're basically, the dealers aren't going to. The OEMs haven't been doing anything. The dealers have all the power.
Yep. It's not changing.
Yep.
It's not changing. You're not going to get these companies that are spending, like I said, there's too many dealers and they've spent too much money for anybody to change that system around right now.
Keith Gauntz, thank you for your $20 donation, and thank you for your kind words for being a longtime fan. Rilo for $9.99. Thank you for your donation. Longtime viewer. Consistently the best auto channel on YouTube, lifetime follower. Keep up the exceptional work. Rilo, thank you for your kind words.
Yeah, thank you.
Diwoosh, thank you for your #1 fan sticker, and thank you for the $10. SVT Snake for $5. 25,000 mile Focus RS, worth it for $35,000. It already has smaller wheels, KWDDC suspension, and the engine is bone stock. Isn't it the suspension Matt Farah ran? He ran like really.
No, didn't he ran Fort?
No, they were
Monsoon?
KWs. Oh, they might have been. I don't remember.
I don't know if Monsoon did revalved KWs though.
35 grand is a lot for Focus RS in my mind. Sure. I don't know. I didn't like that car, but a lot of people really do. Drive it, and if it makes you happy, $35,000 is a great deal.
You have to be prepared that car is, you know, there's a lot of compromise. That almost becomes like that second car. You know, that's a second fun car because it hardcore.
Really bad.
You know, it's not going to be your best
long distance highway
car. You're not taking that on like road trips everywhere. But especially if you're in a place in your life where that's where you value and that's what you want that hard car. I mean, there's not a lot that are like that.
Yeah. Samuel Kim, thank you for the $1 donation. Jake Kennedy, thank you for the $4.99. New BMW M440i versus X4 M40i versus S5. Assume all the same price, similarly equipped.
The M40?
Yeah, so it's the 6-cylinder four series
package.
With the M package.
And what's the other pile again?
X4. I would not get an X4.
No, don't.
It looks horrible.
Don't.
Maybe you like the way it looks, but I would get an X3 if I had to get something like that.
Yeah. Don't get an X4, please. Don't, because if you buy it, that means that they think that every car should look like that, and they will make everything like that. The M440, it's more, it's got a weird front end.
I think the S5 is like the most comfortable. I almost bought one. The S5 is a really great street car.
Yeah, it's a GT.
The Sportback.
Yeah, it's a whole GT car. It's a
Massaging
cruiser.
Seats, all this bullshit.
Yeah, it's like old man mode compared to those two.
And it's great.
If you want to go old man mode, you go to the Audi. It's great. If you want some edginess to
and
it,
Reddit will think you're cool because you drive a wagon.
Yeah, sure.
Look at that. You can get some gold from kind strangers online.
Yep.
Aladdin for $20. Magic carpets when? Thank you for all the hard work
Flying
and incredible
cars, bro.
You said carpets.
Well, I'll put a carpet in there. I'll make it fly.
Thank you for all the hard work and incredible content.
How many more do we have, by the way?
A lot.
Okay, because my piss tank is maxed out, dude.
All right, we'll get through another 10, and then you can go to the bathroom.
Dude, I thought we were.
I'm gonna mute
this shit.
All right, I'll answer the questions without you.
Oh my god, the pain.
Oh god. All right. Well, thank you, Aladdin, for the $20. Magic carpets when? Thank you for all the. No, you already. Sorry, my brain. Cameron for $5 just bought a 10-year-old Mazda 5. Do either of you have experience with these cars? Any thoughts? Love your guys' work. Cameron, I do not have any experience with the Mazda 5, and I don't think Mark does either. I think that's from the Ford era of Mazda. They rot out. That's the one thing I do know about that generation of Mazda. Yeah, Mark's enlarged prostate is causing his peeing problems from all his testosterone. Bubbles for $2. 2010 Volvo C30 manual as a first/current car. Thoughts? I knew someone who owned a C30. I've known a couple of people that own C30s. They're kind of neat cars. I can't remember if that's the one with the 5-cylinder or not. I think they were kind of in that weird era where the other kind of enthusiast small cars did it better. But there you go. Oh, great. Thanks, Mark. EMB4 Prez, $5. I'm a heretic and bought a. Am I a heretic if I get an automatic GR86? I'm actually going to talk about this in one of the videos. So I talked to a Instagram. Someone reached out to me on Instagram who bought an automatic GR86 purely because of all the driving aids and the number of miles he gets. So if you want things like adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist and all that stuff, you cannot get any of that with the manual. It only comes as an automatic. So that's the one advantage. Watch the BRZ video if you want to hear our thoughts on the automatic gearbox. But if you're looking for the last word in responsiveness, it's not that. But hey, you're buying a rear-wheel drive enthusiast car. I don't care how you buy it. Good job. Rusland for $10. What's the quietest four-door sedan under $100,000 that you've experienced? Well, first off, thank you for your $10. Man, you know the
should I wash my
under
hands?
$100,000. The Lexus LS is unbelievably quiet, and that car is comfortably under $100,000. Great. I thank you for giving me the live feed of what Mark is doing through the comments. I do genuinely appreciate that. Fucking believable. I'm sure Mark will respond to that as well. Rustlin, I'm L600, new LS, ES, and G90 under $100,000, and A8.
G80?
Yeah, G80 is quiet too.
G80 is one of the quietest cars by far, and the LS is pretty quiet too.
JD, the LS is like a fucking steal.
The LS, you have to accept the fact that you're not going to have the latest
S-Class,
or
all
7
tech, series, yeah.
But it's a like if you can get it for $85,000, you're going to be good. Oh, something dropped.
Oh yeah. We're back.
It's because the stream was so long. They're like,
yes, we're back.
It's because I left the room that the energy got sucked out of the room, guys. Now we're back.
I'm asking Chin. Chin's a live stream moderator who's now been here for 3 hours. All right, Chin says we're back.
All right, good.
Holy fuck, we have a lot of questions. Rustlin, I'll go back and re-answer his question. He asked for quietest cars on $100,000. LS, G80, G90, ES350, A8.
The two are the LS and the G80 by far.
Okay.
Absolutely.
JD Tech Gear for $20. As a creator, how do you feel about the balance of creativity you're able to utilize in your videos? I find the balance between efficiency and creativity at a constant struggle for review style videos. This is JD Tech Gear.
Yeah, JD. It is very, very hard because it's the law of diminishing returns. And I say this with Jack all the time. You know, if you're going to be chasing shots and you're like, wow, that's cool, and then nobody's watching it, you're wasting all this time to do stuff. You have to learn what's the stuff that people really like, where's the high impact stuff that separates you from everybody else, and what are you good at that you can get done quickly and redo that with most of the videos where it stands out. And that's a balance you have to figure out, and only your audience is going to let you know. Like, people are going to tell you right away if they like something, and they're definitely going to tell you more than likely when they don't.
Puzzled Bunny for $20. Will the Dodge Viper return? Well, thank you for the $20, and it will return as an EV probably.
The Viper?
Yeah. If it's going to return, it's going to return as an EV, but I don't think it's going to return anytime soon. Or it'll be an SUV. I love that. The Jeep Renegade Viper.
Be a Peugeot.
Yeah. Anyway. Mike Waite, thank you for the $20
thank you.
donation.
Thank you very much.
Trent Schaefer. Hey lads, in your opinion, best turbo all-wheel drive hatchback that's used?
Turbo all-wheel drive hatchback.
No, Mark 7.5 Golf R.
You think so?
I mean, what other hatchback do you have? You can buy WRX.
Yeah, probably between those two.
Yeah, I would get the Golf and just get a warranty.
I don't know. Depends. If you want to modify it, then I think the
WRX.
because it's like there's endless amounts of options.
My the guy who PDI'd my GR86. Remember I told you this? He had a Golf R. He's like, I big turboed it. And literally the next question is, did you blow it up? He's like, yes, I blew it up immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
Goth Rocker 20 also would like to see you do a video tribute series on the rotary engine RX-7. Rotary is a unique experience that will never come back. Well, you're in luck. It sounds like that's happening, and I don't want to ruin it, but we will do an FD RX-7 video, and you'll probably like it.
Yeah, there's going to be some serious firepower behind that video. If that, I don't want to oversell it, but if it really happens the way that
I'll shoot it on my iPhone.
Jack's going to be in the weeds. It's like, oh man, is that a Porsche? Oh, sorry, I'm leaving.
You should just tell me it's a Porsche.
It's like an FD 982 Porsche. He's like, oh man, I never heard of that one.
Did Andreas Preuninger work it? I'd be like, yeah.
I'll just put a cardboard cutout of some German guy in the RX-7.
Just have Tom Montano wear an AP mask. I'll be like, man, it's so nice to meet you.
Yeah. No, yeah, we're gonna be really serious about that one.
Nicholas George for $10. Why is VW fumbling their interior technology so badly? How quickly can they turn it around? Well, I'll answer this because we already answered it. They fired the guy who did the UX.
Management.
So, yes.
That's it. Management.
Too many people saying, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And no one being like, oh no. But from my understanding how VW works internally, this is not so much a problem with Porsche and Audi, but VW, not the most fun place to work. No be not for $5. Would it be better to get a Kia Forte GT with a 6-speed or dual clutch?
6-speed. The Eco DCTs are not good. In my opinion, I would not want one.
Logan for $10. Thank you, Logan. Need a new daily driver under $50,000 in Minnesota. IS350 with rear-wheel drive, GSF, or 540 iX. What else would you pick? What's your pick out of those? My current daily driver is an Alfa Giulia.
Oh, wow.
So GSF, 540i, or IS350. GSF
is going to have the most character. If you're coming from a Giulia where you kind of like have that experience already, the GSF is so flawed but so interesting.
Yeah, and you'll never lose money on it.
Right, yeah, that's the big thing.
You're going to lose your ass out on the 540. It'll be the best car.
Yes, yeah.
But you're going to lose your ass out. And the IS350 compared to the GSF is a big letdown.
No, IS350 it's too average.
Thoughts on Tesla? This is a common question. Is it the future of and thoughts on Tesla and the future of EV vehicles?
Tesla will always be ahead at this point in interior electronics and electronics in general. But where they will start to really lose out is they cannot compete when every other mainstream manufacturer is caught up with the EV game. So you get a 400-mile Lexus, a 400-mile range Audi, and BMW that are in a similar price category. They're going to obliterate them in the driving, the chassis, and the manufacturing standpoint, where they're going to lose so much market share.
Drive a Model 3. Model 3 performance, and then drive any other car in the world that's built by a company that knows to do chassis design.
And that's the thing, is what do people value? Tesla will continue to put their firepower into technology and quirky new stuff that nobody else is doing. Will the technology part in the car maintain people being interested in them and buying a Tesla over another brand? Or will the overall package really outweigh some of that? And I haven't seen Tesla really being able to follow through. Like the Cybertruck, the new prototype.
Or the Roadster.
Have you seen the prototype?
No.
Okay, well, it's hilarious how messed up it is, like body panel wise, fitment wise. And yes, it's a prototype, but this is closer to the production thing. And they have like duct tape holdings or tape holding things on. I don't know if it's gas.
I saw Rivian the other day, and I'm asking them for us to do a video on it. That thing's badass.
Yeah, no, that's a more follow through, but that's one product, right? They had to make like one thing, and Tesla's trying to do all this stuff and create new models. So did you see what the deposit went to on the Roadster? it confirms what we heard from people that used to work at Tesla, saying that they're funding their new cars by deposits from future
It's
cars.
crowdsourcing in the most
50 grand is the new deposit for the
fuck?
Roadster. Yeah.
Is it refundable or non-refundable?
I don't know. I didn't get that far. I just saw it was 50 grand for a deposit on a Roadster.
What a deal.
Maybe I don't know the fine print. Maybe there's a less amount, but
We've been told internally by people who work at Tesla and have worked at Tesla that your crowdsourcing of cars, put a deposit down, is paying for R&D on something else.
yeah.
So whatever their newest car is, like, oh, we have X. Well, we're using that money, the development money, to pay for something else. Now that Tesla's worth $1 gajillion, that might be changing, but early on, that's how it worked.
Yeah. It's got, if you're, they're so far behind on future product. And I think like that whole comment that Elon had about the Cybertruck, he's like, oh man, it's way easier to make prototypes and fake cars than it is to make the real thing. And that's true. You can, and this is in our upcoming Toyota video, that innovating in a bubble or innovating at a low production or one-offs is really easy. But when you need to scale it out to make hundreds of thousands of products, it becomes way more difficult to make it work. And that's where they're at. They're kind of in this limbo, but it's a manufacturing thing. They're so new.
Man, we're getting close to the ends of these, thank God. A lot of questions. This is like a 4-hour live stream of 3 hours and 13 minutes. Alex, for $20, thank you for the $20
Thank
Canadian. I bought an AP2, an RYP AP2, because of your videos. Do you ever plan on finishing the S2000 series? And how's your S2000 doing, Mark?
Zero issues with the S2000, other than I don't drive it enough. And now really the only time I ever drive it is going to the track. Partly it's two problems. I need to switch over to street brake pads. It's intolerable to drive it on the street. And then I just did a regular clutch, but King wanted me to change the what was it, the clutch?
Flywheel.
The flywheel?
Flywheel.
What was the flywheel?
Yeah, flywheel.
Is that what's making the noise?
I don't remember.
No, I don't think it's the flywheel.
Might be the clutch.
No, it's either the pressure plate or the anyway. It's got horrible drivetrain like groaning, and I gotta switch it to like a completely stock setup. Other than that, I mean, the car is anything that's wrong with that car.
Supercharge it, dude.
Yeah,
What could go wrong?
Right. Anything that's wrong with the S2000 is my fault, not really the car. But yeah, it's a great car, and I do plan on talking about like, hey, this is what I've done to the car and what it really netted.
Sorry, just making sure there's nothing wrong with our live stream. Terrence Chen for $10. Used M240i or GR86?
Use what, 240i?
M240i. So it's the,
or GR86?
yeah. M240i is going to annihilate the GR86 in a straight line.
Yeah.
And probably annihilate it with real suspension around a track. It might not be as fun to drive, but
it depends. Again, it's like,
you want to go fast? Do you want a luxury car, or do you want cheap and fun?
Yeah. And you want more of a driver's car experience. This is what I said at the beginning. What's the best cars? And it's like everybody's different. Like, do you like to drive? Do you want to be a GT car? Or do you not know how to drive? Like there's all these things.
The M240i probably handles better. May not be more fun, but it probably handles better.
The M240i is a better car,
yeah.
But the 86 is going to be more engaging and fun to drive because there's more, requires more things from you to drive it quickly and more fun.
Hyun, thank you for the $10.
Thank you, Hyun.
Dongy, thank you for the $2.
Thank you.
Do a Chicago meetup. We will one day. Probably at Autobahn. Maybe a track day.
I
maybe
think
something.
The Autobahn thing is the best way to do it.
Jim for $20. This is so I don't have to split up with my ex-wife's boyfriend. Keep up the good work.
How much?
$20.
He's hooked up with his ex-wife's boyfriend? Or ex-wife's boyfriend?
Yeah. It's good for him. I'm glad our content can make sure that you can stay with your ex-wife's boyfriend. Dunwell.
I'd like that.
Dunwell for $2. See you, Space Cowboy. See, there's this Cowboy Bebop is amazing. I am not a big anime person, despite the way I look.
Yeah, wait till you see this guy's wrap on his car outside.
Yeah, man. Well, see, all of this money is going towards my giant anime girl wrap on my GR86.
You should do it on the press car Taycan and send it back to Porsche with an anime girl.
It looks cool.
Hey, man, we're just trying to make it a little bit more reliable with a JDM wrap.
It should just say, God, what's that meme? German engineering is the best in the world, and from some anime.
You're talking to a whole white guy here. I only know anything past 1980s.
Dan Knowles for $20. Thank you again, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
I'm thinking of making a glass of chocolate milk. Should I stick with the older generation Nestle's or switch to new improved Hershey's?
Hershey's is really pushing the boundaries of their genetic engineering of chocolate or cocoa beans, Dan. So that's where you want to go.
Jan for $10 Canadian. Thank you all for your videos. Hope to see a new review on the GR Corolla and the new Civic Type R at some point. These are cars I aspire to when I'm fast and furiously shifting my Honda Fit.
There's going to be some serious fun to be had between the new Z, the new Type R, and of course the GR Corolla. Those are three real exciting, like last gen fun cars.
Funky Fudge for $5. I just wanted to say I've learned so much from y'all and I really appreciate doing this. It'll be a bad day if you stop. Also say hi to Turbowski.
I will. Thank you. Yeah, by the way, appreciate that.
Najad for Najad 3 for $5. What's your opinions on the 2022 Honda Accord? Which trims would you recommend?
Considering I haven't been in the Accord since we did the video, I just feel like Honda is just like, nah, let's focus on everything else but that car.
I get a Civic now.
I don't know. I think the Accord is great. This generation Accord is like the best they've ever done. It's just like the most forgotten about car because everybody's so focused on
2-liter in that car is great.
Yeah. No, I'm honestly, if you want a car that's one of the best sedans you can get in the price point.
Exhaust Sports Auto. Another great guy.
And Kevin, dude, Exhaust Sports Auto.
That guy hustles.
He hustles and he's honest. He's not in a place where he's a legit
car guy.
Yeah.
I had Arby's for dinner, so I should at least get second place.
Yeah, you're only getting fifth place ribbon. I was going to bring my ribbons into this live stream and just go over each one, but this is running so long.
Yes, it is. There are some cutoff questions past it, but you guys donated, so I will go through them. Puzzle Bunny, thank you. Thank you for $50.
Thank
for
you.
$10,000 to $20,000. Is it better to go to an Audi or Merc versus a GTI?
Audi. If you're coming from a VW already, you're just some smooth transition.
Yeah, I would get. But so if say you bought a GTI for 30 grand, is buying an A4 and A5, which is the same fucking drivetrain now, but relatively the same drivetrain. Is the 10 grand worth it going to a luxury product versus a GTI?
Depends on how you have it optioned out.
Yeah. Now,
if you have it optioned out well, and it's not a base car, yes.
And if $10,000 to $20,000 is nothing to you, or not nothing, but not a big deal, then yeah, get the Audi.
The Mercedes is kind of too. If you're used to the VW style stuff, the Mercedes is going to feel
the
like
electronics
foreign,
are garbage.
Yeah.
Well, not compared to the new GTI's electronics. The Mercedes are amazing.
Yeah, right.
Puzzled Bunny for $20 again. Really looking for the best manual under $80,000.
What are we looking at now with manuals under 80? BMW.
You have the new M3. You can get a Porsche. You can get that
GT.
No, you can't. You can get the 4-cylinder that you loved so much. The Cayman T is really good, actually.
No, it is. It's really good.
GT350.
Yeah, 350.
ND2, GR86.
No, he want. If he's saying 80, then it's got to be Porsche, GT350, and what's the other pile?
The Blackwing's more than that, but the CT4V Blackwing's got a good manual. It's a Tremec unit.
It does, yeah.
The Camaro, if you can still get one, an SS1LE or ZL11LE with a manual is pretty badass. The same gearbox.
I know there's one we're missing there. Yeah. Ugh.
Man,
tough choice, dude.
GT350. There you go.
GT350 is pretty special. But that's, okay, that's on the muscle car side. The luxury car side would be the BMW, of course.
Yeah, but the BMW manuals aren't that great.
The manuals are not. That's like the weak link of that car for sure.
But you can still get it as a manual.
Yeah.
Eddie Miller for $10. Any news on a review on the Audi RS3? I mentioned this earlier in the live stream. Thank you for your $10 donation. I've asked Audi a gajillion times, and they're like, oh, "Okay, bro." So I'm trying.
Yeah, it's the Audi thing is complicated. I don't quite get it, but we've asked more than we've asked for most cars because we constantly get asked about that.
I've asked for an R8, a RS3, a regular
Q7.
RS5, a regular Q7, a regular Q5, an A4, Anyway, Lucas for $20. I have a 19 Golf R lightly modified. It is a downpipe and stage 2. I have a lightly modified Golf R. Is a downpipe in stage 2 worth the emissions hassle, or am I better off putting the money into an RS3 fund? I also have an 04 R32 and a Project Miata, but the R is my daily.
If you have to do emissions, like,
That's not worth it.
if you have to do that annually, like I had to do the S2000 every year now. Like it's so frustrating. I don't have anything done to it, so it's just driving in and driving out. If I had to pull something off to meet emissions,
that's your daily. You don't want to blow up that shit.
I would save it for the RS3 fund. Now, if it's like every 3 years and you're like, okay, shit, I got to change something out before I go into emissions. Granted, I'm not saying cheat emissions, but you know, like if your car is modified, a lot of people have to do this. I mean, it's not the end of the world to swap out a downpipe or a test pipe, you know, usually. Adam,
for $5, love you guys. GR86 versus Mazda 3 Sport all-wheel drive. Can't decide between fun or luxury. Well, you got to make that decision because they're way too different cars.
Say, what was the first
Mazda 3 sedan all-wheel drive versus GR86.
Oh, man. Yeah.
You want a luxury car or do you want fun? Because the GR86 ain't luxury.
No, that'll get tiring to drive every day.
If you want luxury.
It depends on, again, right, how old are you? What's your drive like? What do you like in a car? If you want a better daily driver, the Mazda 3 is going to be way better than that. It's not fun, though. I mean, the Mazda 3, I guess, if you've never driven anything before and you came out of like a Ford Escort or like a Ford, some turd like Eco Sport or something, you're going to get into a Mazda 3 and you'll be like, this is incredible. But it, you know,
John Mayer, I'm going to fuck up his last name. He's the guy who gave us the SVT Terminator. That video was amazing. I was reminded that the other day when someone asked me if I was a breeder. He asked me if my GR86 is going to get fisted this summer. Because he's got a Focus. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Sorry, a Fiesta. Yeah, with a big turbo now.
Oh, yeah. The thing's going to blow the doors off that.
Puzzle Bunny, thank you for another $5.
Thank you.
Alex, thank you for the $7 or $6.69. I see what he did.
$6.69.
Canadian Tech Tips money for the 2 couch servers of Chicago. Yeah, on your casting couch you bought used out of Bob's.
This?
Yeah, it was this from Bob's.
This is Bob's hand delivered. Just threw it in here like
out here. There's Bob's furniture outlet.
Yeah, no, there is there. Isn't Bob's just a furniture outlet to begin with?
But is it a global chain? Is it a national?
No, it's a national chain.
That CGI Bob.
Yeah, CGI Bob came in here and he put holes in all my cushions. Like this. See this?
Oh, quality.
You put your foot on it for 2 seconds, everything tears. And then, man, it's really bad. I got to staple this thing down.
Auburn Allman need to replace. Thank you for the $10. Need to replace the 2010 Sequoia with 240,000 miles. Should I keep it until it falls apart or replace it with the next generation Sequoia, LX, or used Land Cruiser? Used Land Cruiser if it has a V8, because as you're about to find out tomorrow Friday in a couple hours, the new LX is a mixed bag.
Mm-hmm.
And the new Sequoia, the new Tundra has some problems. Maybe it's going to be fine, maybe it won't. But as of today, the turbo stuff has some issues.
Keep your car until you make a decision on whether you want the new one or not. Let's just keep it that way, because there's no point in going buying a Land Cruiser and then like, oh shit, I should have bought a new one. You're going to have to give it any new car. I don't care if it's Toyota or not. Any of the new generation, like internal combustion stuff that's gotten so complicated, you're going to need to wait it out a couple of years until they get things sorted.
Jared for $5. Oh, we're so close, Mark. We're almost there. Jared for $5. Acura TSX Sport Wagon here. Opinion on station wagons versus abundance of SUVs. There are no station wagons anymore that aren't cheap. That are cheap. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, like,
you just get an SUV. I hate to be that guy.
Yeah, I'm just going to put it this way. The reason why there's so many SUVs is because they're putting so much money in development in those, and they've gotten really good. You know, and these companies are throwing everything they have in terms of R&D, and it's replacing sedans in terms of like evolution. So sadly, you have to buy an SUV if you want all the latest shit. You know, the wagons are kind of like an afterthought.
All right. Milkman for $5. You guys are still going. Holy shit, I put my kid to bed, had 2 beers, and you're still going. Can you test the Rivian? I will attempt to test the Rivian.
Jack's trying to get hold of them because they're local to us, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I think they're like Southern Illinois. Milkman for $2. Should I get a Genesis liftback G80? Should I get a Stinger? Should Milkman Stinger? Should a liftback G80 or a Stinger?
There's a liftback G80.
Oh,
I mean,
Stinger should. The question doesn't make. Stinger should a Genesis liftback G80 is what he wrote. Thoughts? Did he qualify there? No, he did not. Oh, is the Genesis better than the Stinger? Yes.
yes,
All right.
100%.
And
The G80 compared to the Stinger,
yeah.
it's like a different planet.
Okay.
Like literally a different planet.
And they're not the same car underneath.
They are not the same car.
Front suspension's different.
It's multi-link double wishbone versus a strut. The front end is completely different. Exhaust Sports Auto did a huge bunch. If you want to see stuff on that car, watch Exhaust Sports Auto stuff on the G80 because he had one. And he'll kind of go over the difference.
Moon Robin for $5. Hi, Mr. Goose. As a personal question, what percent of no, he just requalified. Should they make a Genesis version of the Stinger?
Nobody would buy it.
There
All
you
their money's going in. So just to follow up, they're putting all their money in the Q, whatever it is, QV70 and QV80 and probably a QV90 and that's where the money's going. The G80 does not sell to begin with for them.
Yeah, they're never going to do it.
They wouldn't.
Hi, Mr. Goose. Personal question. What percent of someone's net worth makes sense to be in a car? Is 13% too high? I haven't thought about a percentage, but you can think about it as an income. The last thing, say you make, I don't know, what a regular person make. Let's like $10,000 a month. That sounds really high. But so you make $10,000 a month. By the time you're done, you definitely should not be.
How much money should you spend based on your income on a car?
I said net worth, not income.
Oh, God, I don't know. I don't know what the rule is. I mean, that's changing in an economy, but I don't even know what the golden rule is, honestly.
I don't remember either. Just don't be irresponsible. To me, if you're going to buy a car that is a depreciating asset, you should not be buying a vehicle or having a car payment on something that you particularly notice all that much. If, $650 is make or break for your month. Do not do it.
Yeah, this is a huge question you get asked all the time from people because, if you're into cars and you like cars, you make a huge justification why you spend so much money on a car. To a normal person, that makes zero sense. And, all the financial people that really specialize in this type of discussion will say it's the worst decision you can make is buying a car. But then you don't factor in the fact that if you really like cars, it's part of your life experience. You're paying to get that life experience by owning a certain car, and not relationships cost you a lot of money too. If a relationship costs you $100,000 a year from vacations, food, enjoyment, does that mean that you should not be in a relationship because you're spending a lot of money in that, or you're spending a lot of money on a kid, or, like these things that you can't quantify where that money's going. And you can't put a dollar on the return on it. And life is not black and white like that. Is it smart to spend money on a car? No, of course not. But is it going to return something for you emotionally, physically? Yes. So where is that line? Like Jack said, if you're going to blow all your money and you're going to be broke and you can't make ends meet, or you can't afford to put food on the table, or you can't pay your credit card bill, or the important stuff, then you probably shouldn't be spending that much money on it. But that's kind of my take. I'm not a traditionalist, and you should or you shouldn't do something.
Spike Money. Thoughts on an RSX Type S for $5?
It's an okay car. I mean, after driving all these cars, the one thing that's consistent about it is the front end on the RSX was nowhere near as good as the old Integra.
It's like the 8th gen Civic.
It is exactly. If you're okay with modifying the front end with alignments and all that, you can have a lot of fun with the RSX. It's just it lost a lot.
Talk to Scott at King Motorsports if you want to go fast on an RSX Type S. That guy,
just feel like, hey, I talked to Savage Geese. They wanted me to call you about my opinion on their opinion on RSX S.
And how I should modify one.
Yeah, or what you need to do if you're really sold.
And he's going to tell you to spend, I don't know.
He's going to tell you to spend $50,000 to turn it into a race car. No, he won't tell you that.
No, Scott's a really nice guy. Like 5 questions left, Mark. We're almost done. High Flyer for $5. Hey, buy a GT4 RS. Wall High Flyer, your $5 will go towards my GT4 RS fund.
Yeah, I'd like to as
Need
well.
quite a few more $5 donations to be able to buy
I'm gonna
one.
need to do 24/7 live streams that that generate about $100,000 ADM charge.
Altsvato for $2. Would you get a 2022 Corolla SE or a 2022 Civic S? Civic.
Right now, yeah, Civic. I'm sorry.
Robbie M for $5. Possibility of reviewing a 2007 and 2008 Acura TL Type S.
Yeah, I would love to. That's
Yeah.
like the golden era one. And
Yeah.
in retrospect, it's like I said in the video we did on the new TL.
Yeah,
like,
you tore me a
TLX.
new ass for that one.
Yeah,
It's like, oh
like-
man, that car used to be fun. It's like, no, it drove like shit.
Yeah, I mean, when you do them back to back, yes, they're gonna drive like shit. But the engine and the manual trans like makes up for a lot of it.
Faded for $5. Thank you, Faded. Thank you for also being from the Midwest, now living on the East Coast. When do you think the used car market will settle back down? When the economy crashes?
2 years.
Yeah, probably.
That's my opinion.
My
2 years.
assuming an economic collapse or there being enough cars.
The housing market has to go first. The housing market falls. That's like basically normal people stuff. That fumbles, then the car stuff will fumble.
Faded. Oh no, I just answered that. Ohm for $10. Thank you for the $10 donation. Tucson hybrid in the highest trim or a mid-trimmed GV70? GV70.
Yes.
Igor, thank you for the $20 donation. Please don't burn out. Igor, we will do our best. Thank you for the $10 donation. George, I appreciate your kind words. Last question. Rob T. Looking to upgrade my S2000, mostly street, some autocross. Is Olin's the move? What wheel specs do you run?
Tough one. All right, I'll put it this way. If all you're doing is some track and autocross, the Olins will be amazing. And it's Olins, by the way, just for all you people that want to be stodgy. They're great on the street because they ride properly. They handle tremendous bumps and like it's just a great street shock. And it's just barely stiff enough to do any track. But for autocross, you're really going to enjoy it. It's a great dual purpose suspension. It's worth the money. The track day guys, the track day bros will tell you it's not good because they're not stiff enough. And they're not stiff enough. But again, if you live on the track, then you don't get Olins. You get something else.
And you had a race car driver just drive your car recently, and he said it was great.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I mean, go for it, dude. You'll like them. And I'm telling you that. In terms of wheels and tires, if you go wider than 245 in the back, you're going to need a new wheel and you're going to deal with rubbing stuff. If you go, like, if you want to do a squared 255 setup, there's nothing squared that you're going to fit that's not going to do damage to the front fenders. And I don't care who you talk to, there's no wheel that's going to clear that under hard compression, and it's not going to rub, and you're going to have to modify fenders. So do the maximum tire width for the front and the rear that you can on the stock wheels or something similar to avoid the rubbing. That's just my advice.
JXT24. Thank you for the $20 donation. Happy almost birthday. Here's one for a gallon of gas. Well, thank you. It's basically $20 for gas out here.
Bro,
anyway.
Jack's going to be charging his electric car for
like 4 days.
Or no, he's going to pay to charge the electric car in the shop. That's going to be sitting there for 3 days straight.
Joshua for $5. We were literally just talking about this, not this comparison. Subaru BRZ or Aston Martin Vulcan?
Yeah, I think the Vulcan.
No, it was a Valkyrie is what I showed
The Valkyrie. The problem is the steering wheel that comes off the Valkyrie. You need like a special place just to store that. So I don't know, that's a little inconvenient for me.
Yeah. I talked to someone who shot B-roll for Aston Martin at the Aston event, and he said it's the loudest. And he shoots for everybody, including McLaren. He says the Valkyrie is the loudest car he's ever heard.
Aside from like a race it's car, like a race car loud. Yeah.
All right. This is the very last question we're answering. Thank you, everyone, for sticking around for the 3 of you left after 3.5 hours. Brian Liu for $7 Canadian, IS350 or RC350 for a university student. IS350, you need a backseat.
You need a backseat.
RS350 or IS350?
RS350.
RC.
Oh.
I'm sorry. RC350.
Yeah, the IS350. IS350. RC350 is it's just weird. Got body and suspension.
I'm taking off my mic now.
Okay.
We're done.
I'm going to answer this dude's question, and I'm going to answer one more that's really straightforward.
Okay.
ES350 is one of the best front-wheel drive luxury cars if you don't care about dynamics. Obviously, if you care about dynamics, you have to go straight to BMW or Audi. The market sucks, period. Somebody asked, this is the normal question at the end that no, this is not a touch screen. I'm so used to touching everything now. How did you start the show and your livelihood by this or some other ways? At this point,
This is our only job.
Jack started but didn't get into a career. He had multiple ways to get into a real job, and then he started working with me, and now I have him and I have other things to pay for, and now this is my only way of making a livelihood. I don't have my corporate job anymore, so it's a lot more stress than I thought it was going to be.
But we have professional work now.
We have professional work because we're doing a live stream on YouTube with a bunch of people that really care, obviously, that with what we're doing, and they're willing to spend 3.5 hours here. A majority of people were in to spend 3.5 hours to try to talk with us and listen to our bullshit and all of that. And that's the reality of this. You forget that a lot of the stuff we do, people are really, they find the value in what we do for some reason. And we keep trying at it. And I really hope that over the next 2 years, this is sustainable. And, this doesn't go the way of the
Dodo.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good night, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you. Happy birthday to Jack. His birthday's in an hour.
Perfect. All right. Good night, guys.
Good night.